Hey everybody, Frank Kern here. Welcome to day number 1 of the Book Funnel Blueprint. So right now, this is of course a live presentation, and what I'm going to be doing for you is having you behind the scenes as we film for the next 3 days the entire product called the Book Funnel Blueprint. And book funnels are amazing, and a book funnel can totally change your business. It can change your life. It is awesome, and I'm really, really excited to show you how to do it. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you, during the first section of today, an overview of how a book funnel works. So I'm going to kind of show you all the moving parts with my beautiful redneck PowerPoint here. Don't worry if you can't see this yet on camera that well. We have it all set up so we can zoom in and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to walk you through the mechanics of it. I'm going to take you behind the scenes on my book funnel and show that to you on the, oh, look, I fooled Andrew there. Did you see that? He went to the wrong one. I'll show that to you on the monitor here and walk you through it webinar style. So we'll do that at the beginning of the day. The second half of today's presentation, I'm going to be walking you through something called the Blueprint to Yes. And it's really we're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to show you sort of the basic psychology that will generate a yes, whether it's in a marketing environment or a content marketing type of environment or a direct sales environment or whatever. And we're going to use that same framework to actually get your book created without you having to write anything and without you having to hire a ghostwriter. And I know that sounds weird, but both of these books are my 2 more recent books that I've released. And I didn't write either one of these things, but it's 100% my content, nor did I hire a ghostwriter. And they're very good books, and people like them a lot. So if you want a book funnel, but you don't want to write a book, and you want to demystify the whole thing, this is for you. So if you're watching this, if we have miraculously made it work to where you can we've streamed it to Facebook and to our webpage, et cetera. If you're on Facebook, hit the like button, no, hit the heart button. 1 million times, like literally 1 million times, and see if we can spread the word here and get everybody using book funnels because they work really, really well. If you want the notes to this presentation this morning, and by notes, what I really mean is photographs of all of these pieces of paper. I've got several of them I'm going to be walking you through. If you want those, you can have them. You need to text the word notes to, dude, put the thing on the screen because I forgot the number. We have it. There it is. Text the word notes to 858-239-1008, and we'll send you the notes as well. Okay? So what do you say we get cracking and start talking about book funnels, and more importantly, how you can actually have a book funnel. So the first thing we got to do is actually have a major shift up here, right? So your greatest obstacle and doing anything when it comes to marketing or comes to business is always right here. I can tell you that from personal experience. So the first thing I want to help you do is I want to help you shift the way you think about this stuff. So tell me if this sounds familiar right here, right? So this is a beautifully rendered graphical representation of a person under stress, all right? So tell me if this situation might sound a little bit familiar to you. You create something, okay, and it works, and then you promote it, and maybe you do like a big launch or something, right, and you get all these customers and stuff, and you're like, yay, I did the big launch, and then you pay your affiliates, and you're like, well, I now have significantly less money than I did prior to doing the big launch, but still, yay, I did a big launch, and then you kind of have to fulfill everything and fulfill all the promises that you made during the promotion, and then the promotion is over, the dust has settled, and you're like, crap, what do I do now? Okay, because I made all of this money, or I had the successful promotion, and now I need to re-engineer the promotion, right? I need to do another thing. It's kind of like you had a good month last month, but as soon as the new month rolls around, the first thing you're asking yourself is, what promotion am I going to run? What am I going to sell? How am I going to get revenue? And that's very, very stressful, right? I call it the cycle of horror. And the cycle of horror is something that almost every marketer that I've ever met finds themselves in. And the first thing I want to do is I want to help you get rid of that and break free of that level of stress and uncertainty and weirdness. Weirdness being clearly a scientific term, okay? So the first thing we've got to do is we have to adopt something. And yes, thank you very much. This is beautiful. I know, you're right, thank you. I drew this myself, as you could tell. This is fantastic. So the first thing we have to do is we have to adopt something. I'll write it here. We have to adopt something called the billionaire mentality, right? So you've heard that expression that success leaves clues, right? 1,000,000 times. It's been said so much now that it's kind of like, yeah, dude, I know success leaves clues. I went to the same seminar you did, man. I read the same books you did. Tell me something I don't know. I feel the same way. I want to hear it now because it seems like a platitude, right? But it's also very, very true, right? Just like the rule, do unto others, is very, very true. You've heard it 1,000,000 times. There's nothing groundbreaking, but hot diggity, if you live your life by that, things tend to be pretty good. So if we can sort of make the distinction, look, where am I looking? Here, there we go. Okay, trained professionals, ladies and gentlemen. I told you, you do it live, this kind of things happen. Right? If you can make the distinction and embrace the fact that, okay, if we know that a certain group of people, whether it's 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, have been able to achieve a certain result, and if we also take into consideration that these people are from all different walks of life and they're achieving the same result through different vehicles, then it might be worth our while to find out how these people think and maybe adopt some of their thinking, right? Because logic dictates that, hey, our thinking leads to our actions, and our actions lead to our results, right? So here's the shift, and here's what the billionaire mentality is all about. Marketers, okay, this is a brilliantly rendered photograph of a frustrated, frazzled marketer. That's what the lightning bolts coming out of their head are meant to mean, right? So we as marketers typically fall into this trap right here where we think only about two things. And these two things are products and promos. Right? So your typical standard issue marketer, okay, is pretty much living in the world of products and promos. I got to make a new product, and then I got to promote the product. And then that promotion's over, and I got to make a new product, and then I got to promote a product. Okay? And hey, you know what? You can make a pretty good bit of money doing that. I've done it before. I was very stressed out. It was very, very difficult, but it was also very lucrative. So I'm certainly not knocking anyone. I just want to open your eyes to maybe something that you'll find a little bit more effective and give you what I think we all want, which is really a life of stress-free abundance. Okay? So we need to now make the shift to what billionaires think about. And if you look at what billionaires do, they basically create what I like to sort of, in my mind, refer to as a box that spits out money. All right? And obviously they don't do this in reality. There's no actual box that spits out money, although that would be awesome. But billionaires and mega successful people, they don't think about products and promos. They think about, I want to build a thing that'll just spit out money without me having to actually do anything. And then I want to take that money and I want to create more of these things, right? And these boxes that spit out money, the real term for this is called assets, all right? So what I want you to do is to, at least during our time together, put aside the concept of products and promos and embrace this concept of assets. Because here's what an asset's job is really meant to do, right? So what an asset really does, all an asset is in reality, at least for the terms of our discussion, right, is something where you can stick $1 in to an asset and then you get multiple dollars out, right? We've all heard that age-old thing, which is, hey, would you buy $10 for a $1 bill? And another way to frame it is, if you could put $1 into a machine and get $10 out, would you do it? And how many times would you do it? Well, really, that's what an asset is, okay? So traditionally, assets are thought of as things like, buying houses or buying stocks and stuff. But our kind, we marketing folks, we have a totally different class of assets that the rest of the world really doesn't understand. And let's hope they never do understand it really, because I think, and I'll show to you why I think this. I'll kind of prove it. You can tell me if I've proven it or not. But I'll show you proof of this in a minute. So for our kind, here's what we have as assets, right? Now look, I've got the redneck PowerPoint here, okay? And then I've got the cheat sheets here, right? So I drew the beautiful drawings on this first, and I drew it on the big one. That's the level of professionalism you can come to expect from live trainings like this. Okay, so what are assets like us, or for what we're doing? Okay, so number one could be a campaign. You build a successful campaign, you can run that thing for years sometimes. Years. You know, one that comes to mind, I'm sure you guys have seen this in the back of Rolling Stone or something, where there's that Athena X pheromones ad. It's typically the size of a business card. And it's like got this lady in a little picture of like an ampule of some kind of mysterious liquid. And it's like, hey, do you want to attract women like crazy? Smear this glop all over yourself and it works. Probably slightly better copy than that. That thing is a campaign that's been running since I was a kid. It's still there, right? That's an asset that these people created one time. They put a little money into it, and it just keeps on cranking out money for them, right? So that's one example of an asset. Another one's going to be an ad. That says advertisement. You just can't read it because my chicken scratch is so bad, right? Another asset is intellectual. Apparently there's an L in intellectual. Another great asset is intellectual property. What you've got in here can be converted into an asset that will produce revenue if done properly, and if combined with what we're going to be talking about today, that can just pay you in a passive or semi-passive manner forever. And if you think about what billionaires do, they build, and the metaphor I use is these boxes that crank out money. And what these boxes that crank out money do is they pay them passively, right? So if a big mega billionaire real estate investor goes out and builds this real estate complex and leases it out for 1 million years or whatever, he's not going to the stupid building every day messing with it. He's just getting checks, right? That's metaphorically a box that spits out money. These types of things can do the exact same purpose, which is awesome. Okay, so other types of assets for us would be a funnel. Okay, it would be a webinar. It would be a video sales letter. I'll just type in VSL. And this is a sales. Now, all of these things, if implemented properly and strategically, right, all of these things can essentially give us this scenario, which is we put $1 in and we get more than $1 out, and we do it in a passive or semi-passive fashion. I'm going to show you some actual numbers from the past 24 hours that are going to blow your mind. I can't believe I got this lucky in doing this, okay? So the first thing we got to do is we have to make this shift. We have to stop thinking about products and promos, and we have to start thinking long-term about assets. What can I create today that's going to continually pay me over time? All right, so never done it with the big flip charts like this before. I got the idea from Russell Brunson, watching him. It was really cool. And let me tell you something about these big flip charts. All right, so these things, to my knowledge, are impossible to get in the United States. I searched everywhere for them, couldn't find them. Finally had to text Russell and was like, dude, where did you get this thing? He's like, I got it in Italy. So we had to have these shipped over from Italy. So from flipchart.it, you guys over there who got these to us so quickly, thank you very much. They're good people over there. Okay, so let's have a look at this, right? So if we think about really, really successful people who do this type of thing, in the traditional world, right, we've got folks like Warren Buffett. Okay, so everyone knows Warren Buffett, no joke, right? Pretty smart fella. I went to the internet, so what I read there must be true because it was on the internet, and it said his average annual return on his investment is 21.7%. That means if he sticks $1 in to his asset thingy, to his box that spits out money. Of course, his box that spits out money is the stock market and other people's companies and stuff. If he puts $1 into that thing, historically speaking, by the end of the year, it'll give him back $1.21.7, right? And he's like considered to be almost the best in the world. There's another guy who's considered to be even smarter than him. His name is Carl Icahn. And I might have spelled this wrong. And the internet, which again, it must be true, says that he gets 30%. So if Carl Icahn puts $1 into his box that spits out money, and in his case, that's the stock market and other people's companies as well, right? Then by the end of a year, he's going to get $1.30 back. And so both of these guys are considered to be the absolute best in the world, right? Like, period. These are the gold standard of billionaire thinking, where these guys are taking $1, sticking it into an asset, getting more money back, doing it over and over again. They focused on that and that alone, and now they're gazillionaires. And good for them, right? I'm very happy for them. This is awesome. Another person, love him or hate him, is Donald Trump, right? So let's just take off the political hat for a minute and put on the real estate hat. What did he do? He would stick $1 into a black box, and he would get more than that dollar out. In his case, his black box was real estate, right? So I'm just going to draw a picture of a house here, because I like drawing. That's a beautiful picture of a house. Thank you very much, right? So traditionally, we think about like, this is what assets mean. Traditionally, right? But let me ask you a question. You're a marketer, right? You're a student of internet marketing. When has any of us in the internet marketing world ever thought traditionally, right? Like, most of us never finished school. Most of our friends have no idea what the heck it is we do. Most of us, if we try to tell anybody, even begin to tell people what we do, they have no clue what we're talking about. Their eyes glaze over and they're like, yeah, it was great seeing you. I'm going to go talk to this other guy about football or something, right? We never do anything traditionally. But when we do the strategies these people do, but we apply it to our stuff, we crush them. Okay, let's think about now, within the internet marketing world, people who are very, very, very successful, right? Or let's not even go with the internet marketing world. Let's go with just the marketing world in general, right? So one person who comes to mind is the late, great Gary Halbert. Okay, his box that spit out money was really simple. It was a sales letter and a product. That was it. And Gary would stick money into this box. In his case, it was a sales letter, right? And he would mail that sales letter to a list. That was part of the box. That was another asset, a mailing list. And that would create customers. And then those customers would be delivered another asset, right, which was a campaign. And he would get to what we call the 10x profit multiplier stage, which I'll show you in a minute. All of this relates, by the way, to the book funnel. This is almost like how a book funnel's evolved and came into being, right? So that's how Gary Halbert did it. If we talk about another company, Agora, right? So some of you more hardcore marketing types might study Agora. I believe the number is 100 million. I think they're a $100 million company. They are in the newsletter business. Well, they're really in the information business, and one of their flagship offers is typically going to be a newsletter offer. Well, a couple years ago, they created one single asset. That was a VSL, right? And that VSL was called the End of America. They made it one time, all right? And their black box that spit out money looked like this. They would get a lot of people. That's what these eyeballs are, right? This signifies traffic. Maybe should have made something that was a little less weirder looking than these creepy looking eyeballs right here. But they would get traffic. They would send it to asset number one, which is this video sales letter. That would generate a second asset, which was a customer list, right? These customers would be placed in the third asset, which was a campaign. And then that campaign would yield their 10x profit multiplier. And I'll explain how this part works a little bit later, right? But if you look at all of this, this is essentially a box that spits out money, right? Just like Trump sticks a bunch of money into a real estate process or a real estate project, doesn't do anything after that, box that spits out money. Just like these dudes stick a lot of money into the stock market, that's their box that spits out money. They don't do anything else, they get more than that in return. Our mission never, never, never needs to be about what kind of product can I create now? What's my promotion going to be now? It always needs to be, what can I create now that is going to metaphorically be like this box that spits out more money than I put into it for as long as humanly possible. And the key word here is in a passive or semi-passive manner. I'll give you one more. Another example for people who we know, right, in our little community. Digital marketer, right? So everybody knows them, good folks, Ryan Dice, Richard Lindner over there, really sharp fellas. I had a conversation with Richard Lindner, who was their president of Digital Marketer, brilliant operational guy and marketing guy, very rare combination. Get to know him if you can. Here's their black box that spits out money. They run ads. The ads get customers by showing them sales letters for little reports and books and stuff, all right? These customers are then presented with the opportunity to join Digital Marketer, which is their continuity program. That is almost now creating $1 million a month for them in revenue, all right? And it actually might be more than that now because I haven't spoken to Richard about it in a couple days. Not a couple days, in a couple months, actually. So these are examples of people that we all know that on the surface, especially on this side, right, that on the surface, we might think of these folks as marketers. No, they're not. These people are using the billionaire mentality. They are creating assets. They focus 100% on assets. What can I make now that's going to continue to pay me and bring in revenue? Does that make sense? So, again, by the way, if you want these unscrewed up notes here, I took pictures of all of these pieces of paper for you. And if you want the pictures where I haven't written on them yet, just text notes to the number on your screen there. That is 858-239-1008. And we'll send it to you so you can sort of follow along if you want to at home. Okay, so moving onward. Okay, so in my opinion, the one asset that trumps them all for us, right? Now, it doesn't mean for every single person in the world, but for business owners, especially online people, like really most of us here, the number one asset that trumps them all is a book funnel. Hands down. Book funnels are unbelievable, extremely effective, greatest thing in the world. So what I want to do now is I want to show you really why book funnels are so awesome. So the first thing I want to show you is what a book funnel actually is, right? There are really three parts of a book funnel. First thing is the book. This is what everybody focuses on when they first get started. Last thing you need to focus on. The second part is what I will call the liquidation funnel, right? This is the things that people see right after they buy the book that typically pays for the cost of acquiring this book customer, right? And these are the first two chunks. The final piece is what I call the 10x profit multiplier, okay? And this is really where the big money is in a book funnel. This is the thing that can change your life forever, right? So why should we use book funnels? Okay, what's so great about them? I need to move to my new redneck PowerPoint notes here. These correspond with what I'm drawing here. So first of all, it's a proven approach, right? It's not like this is a new concept that nobody's ever done before. So consider, who do we know, just off the top of our heads, who do we know that has been extremely successful with book funnels? All right, well, the first person that comes to mind, and the first person I really modeled in doing this is good old Little Buddy. Brendan Burchard, that's my nickname for him, Little Buddy. Love Brendan Burchard. Who wouldn't, right? Everybody does. So Brendan has been doing book funnels forever, right? For how many years has this guy been doing book funnels? I think the first one was for the high performance thing, or maybe it was Millionaire Messenger. This is all the way back like 7 years ago. My man has done so many book funnels. If you look at him, what does he do all the time? Book funnels. That's his main thing that gets people in. What do they advertise most of the time? Book funnels. How many book funnels does he have? Well, let's see, Millionaire Messenger, there's High Performance Thingy, there's a Motivation Manifesto. I know there's another one that I'm blanking on. And he's got the new one coming out, right? Something about the habits. Sorry, Brendan, I'm totally blanking on it, but I'm live on camera. What do you expect, right? So anyway, clearly a proven model just within people we know. Here's another one. Our main man, everybody loves this guy, me included, Jeff, my man, Walker. Also known as Colorado Slim, right? My man Jeff Walker did a single book funnel, one, called Launch, right? Got on the freaking New York Times bestseller list. That's kind of a random byproduct, okay? That's pretty sweet. 7 figures just from the book funnel. Where do new customers come from now? The book funnel. Here's another one. Would you be interested would you think book funnels were cool if you know there was a person who built a $200 million per year empire on book funnels? Well, there is. He's got one running right now. His name is Dean Graziosi, right? And I'll just abbreviate it, Dean G. Dean has been doing book funnels since before any of us internet knuckleheads ever had the concept of doing book funnels. This guy was doing them on television, right? So the one he's got right now is Millionaire Success Habits, Runaway Success, very, very successful. All right, that one's working. The first one on television was, I think it was either Think a Little Bit Different or You Can Be a Real Estate Millionaire. I can't remember the titles of them. But he did them on TV and online. He's been doing book funnels for probably 20-something years. If you look at the front end getting of a customer, the main thing that the public sees for 1, 2, 3, what is it? It's a book funnel, right? Why? Why do all of these wildly successful people have the main front end as a book funnel? Oh, I don't know, because they don't work? No, because they work, right? They work really, really well if you do them properly. Today, during this presentation, I'm going to show you how to do them properly, because a lot of stuff is counterintuitive, all right? So it's a little bit different. Okay, another one is my man Russell Brunson. All right, Russell Brunson had to be a show-off a couple months ago and sell 50,000 copies of his Expert Secrets book. More than 50,000 copies in like a month or something ridiculous. Like, dude, what in the world? That's a gazillion copies of the book. That's like more copies of a book than a regular author would sell in their first month. Like, maybe if it's the new Harry Potter, you'll do more than that. But typically, I mean, this is like publishing houses freak out over numbers like this. My man did it in about a month. Why? Why would he put that much effort into creating a book funnel? I don't know. Because it works, maybe, right? They work really, really well. Now, another reason you want to do this is because one book can change everything for you as a business person. So I'll tell you a little story. I have had back pain off and on since I was like 17 or 18 years old. And I don't know why. Apparently, I overexerted myself playing video games or something. I did have to use move a lot of equipment when I was a musician, so maybe I heard it that, like lugging, Hammond organs and stuff upstairs and all of that kind of thing for 4 years. But I had this back pain, and a friend of mine in high school said, you should read this book called Pain Free. And I'm like, okay. By God, I'll go and I'll read that book called Pain Free because my back hurts. And I didn't want to go to the doctor or anything. I didn't have any money to go to the doctor, first of all, but also just didn't want to go to the doctor. They freaked me out. That's how you get sick, going to the doctor. Not really, that's a joke. But I go and I get the book Pain Free. And I read it, right? And I'm like, okay. And the book is like, it's by a fellow named Pete Agoscu. Some of you guys have probably read it. It's a really good book. And he's like, all right, man, you need to do these very weird-looking exercises that are counterintuitive. You'd never think they'd work. And I'm like, well, nobody's looking, I'll do them, right? Because you really get contorted and weird looking in some of these exercises. So I do them, and I'm like, I'll be down. Back doesn't hurt anymore. Go about my day, right? So I'm like, great, never think about it again. 3 weeks ago, I swear to God, hurt my back yawning. First of all, who hurts themselves yawning, okay? Me. I'm yawning and do the stretch yawn, you go like that. Back just locks up. So I'm like, oh my God. And so now I'm I remember the next morning I'm trying to carry coffee upstairs for my wife, and literally just the weight of the coffee was causing my back to spasm, and I damn near fell down the stairs and spilled the coffee. It was terrible. So what did I do? As I was like, wait a minute, I remember from when I was 17 that this dude was in San Diego, which is where I lived. So I Googled it, Pete Agoscu, San Diego, and I get to the man's website. And I go on to discover that he had 21 clinics worldwide. 21 clinics this dude's got. I mean, this is no mom and pop operation anymore. This is global, right? And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. He has one down the street. I go to it, right? Beautiful, huge office, really, really nice. Everyone's great. It's a good experience. So I go in there. I'm in the waiting room. What do I see? Copies of this one book. I didn't see a million other books. I saw copies of this one book allowed him to get his message into so many people's hands that it was able to grow a business, which just treats back pain, to have 21 locations around the world, one single book. So book funnels are really, really good. So this is kind of the social proof element of book funnels. Of course, I've done them as well. I've sold over $50,000 of these two combined. I'll show you some numbers, just like yesterday and today's numbers, just to sort of give you context of this, right? But now let's talk about the ancillary benefits that a book funnel can provide for you, okay? So, where's my blue pen? I wanted to match. Oh, there it is. All right. We'll keep matching. You always have to match when you're doing these, you know. All right. So, number one, it can give you the thing that we all want online, which is authority and credibility. Good Lord, I can't write. Credibility. I'll just write cred there. So you know what I mean. Authority and credibility. Why? Because you wrote a book, dude. I mean, like you wrote the book on the thing. And the public perception, if you have a book on a topic, you must know what you're talking about. Now, this does not mean that merely having a book is going to give you this. If the book is terrible, and it's just, you know, you open the book up and it's like coloring book and there's nothing in there. And of course, everything you did is going to go out the window. But if your book's worth a damn, your authority and credibility is just shot right up the roof, right? And who do we typically buy from? Credible people with authority, right? So having this makes it much easier for you to sell other stuff, right? Now, notice I got a star by this one, right? A book funnel also gives you immediate buyers, okay? So you guys are students of marketing, right? Is it easier to make the second sale than it is the first sale? Like if you've already sold somebody something and you don't screw that up, how much easier is it to sell them the next thing? You know why? My teacher, Dan Kennedy, you guys probably know Dan as well, he says it best. He says a buyer is a buyer is a buyer is a buyer is a buyer, which means buyers like to buy things. You and I are no different, right? Like if we're into something, we'll buy everything. Assuming we have a pretty good experience. When I first got into surfing, I ended up with 30-something surfboards in less than 18 months. And that's like an expensive hobby. Those things are between $300 and $1,000 each. I just went crazy. Why? Because a buyer is a buyer is a buyer, right? So what this allows us to do is this, if done properly, allows us to generate buyers doing these two things, which I'll explain to you what it is in a minute. Now, the really good part of this, notice we have 3 stars here. Right? The really cool thing about a book funnel is it allows us to get buyers, and we can deliver through the book, we can deliver the most important thing in any marketing and selling equation ever, right? And that is results in advance. I'm just going to write this as RIA, results in advance. I'll go through this for you in a minute, what this really means specifically, okay? But if they read the book and we do a good job of delivering them results in advance, they're going to love us, right? And they're going to buy our next stuff, or they're going to be at least way more inclined to buy whatever else we have because we already helped them through the book, right? I mean, how many times have you read a book and you're like, damn, this is good. I'm going to go out and get more stuff from this guy. We all have, right? That's great. In the case of a book funnel, we're just deliberately engineering that experience. So with traditional books, it just sort of happens organically and by accident. With our kind, we can sort of rig the game by making sure they get these results. And the next piece, which is number 3 reason, maybe this is even the biggest reason, is this. I'll write it for you and then I'll explain it. This says, man, I really need to work on my penmanship. That was my first bad grade in school, of many, was penmanship. I got a C. My poor mother almost lost it. She's like, you can't get a C in handwriting? It's like, hey, it's better than a D, right? And how do you know it says C? My C could really look like anything at this stage. So what you're doing is you're getting paid, right? So what this part of a book funnel right here, this first section of it, what this does is this allows you to get paid to generate a buyer, okay? So if everything is done properly and the heavens align, and the gods are with you, and you write good copy and you know what you're doing, you're going to get a buyer, but you're going to get a buyer at break even or a profit, right? So you're getting paid to get this person, so you can now get paid again. So you're basically getting paid to get paid, because what this 10x profit multiplier is, I call this the main thing. This is the main thing that you actually sell through a book funnel. Don't worry if it doesn't quite make sense yet. I'll walk you through mine and you'll be like, oh, dude, crystal clear, right? So what we've got so far is biggest shift you need to make is number one, no more thinking about promotions and products, right? We don't think about that. Instead, we start thinking about everything as assets. Can I build something that's going to continually allow me to put $1 in and get $10 out or whatever every single time, passively or semi-passively? Does that make sense? Okay, so this is sort of why use a book funnel, right? And the next thing I want to share with you, and this has really good artwork on it, by the way. The next thing I want to share with you are the dangerous and deadly myths. You got your dangerous, you got your deadly, right? The dangerous and deadly myths of a book funnel. So the first time I did a big book funnel that was really, really successful was this guy right here. And some of you guys have this, and I've signed so many copies of this thing. So many people love this book, so thank you everyone who got it. I'm making the 2.0 version. Couple months, maybe, if I get around to it. So this little book's called Convert, right? And I sold it, and I did the free plus shipping offer. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. And I sold something like 30,000 copies of it, like insane, right? It took off. And I'm thinking, I'm looking in the bank, and I'm looking at all that money, and I'm like, well, might as well quit working. I'm going to be rich, right? And then I got the bill. And I really when they told me how much it cost to print a book, I was like, okay, well, it's not that bad. To print one of these things out, I think it's like $5 or $6 or something like that in printing. And then the shipping anywhere domestically is typically $5.60 if you use USPS. So I'm like, all right, well, that's not that big of a deal. And then I got the bill. And my bill, it pains me to say this out loud, my shipping bill and printing bill was not $300. It was $300,000. And I was like, wow, the profits from this promotion really just went out the window. And so one of the biggest myths that we believe, because we see everybody else doing it, is that we have to do free plus shipping. Right? Now, why do we believe we have to do free plus shipping? Because that's what we see everybody else doing, right? So you must be thinking in a book funnel, like, oh yeah, that's one of those things where it's a free plus shipping offer, and they just pay you like $7 to cover shipping, and then you mail them the book. And you know what? That works. You know why so many people do it this way? Because you don't have to try as hard. It's easy to write an email that goes, hey, get my book for free, go over here, and then they go, oh, you got to pay shipping, and it's just a lot easier from a marketing perspective to get that done. But it's not necessary, and it's not as profitable. The other thing that I'm happy to tell you is you have no need for printed copies at all, right? So not only do you have to do the free plus shipping thing, or do you not have to do the free plus shipping thing, totally unnecessary, you don't have to print the dang book at all, whatsoever. And this is a beautiful drawing here. This is a dude, and he's standing in front of a pile of books, and this is a box that he's going to have to ship the books in, and it's got a little arrow through it. It's like no boxes, right? You don't have to ship anything. And so I sold probably 40-something thousand copies of books over time before it ever dawned on me to say, Frank, marketers, you've been doing this for a while, and apparently there's this thing called testing that you could do. And if you do this crazy testing thing, you might want to see what would happen if you just offered your business or your book as an electronic download. And who knows? Maybe they'll buy it anyway. So I decided to go crazy and use this new testing concept, right? 40,000 books later, 300,000 in shipping bills later. Guess what I found? You ain't got to ship the book at all. People will buy it as a downloadable book. No problem, right? Every one of my books that I've sold since, last September or something has been digitally delivered. No problem whatsoever. Has had zero effect on sales. I'll say it again. Zero effect on sales. So what this means is had I been smart and tested originally and not believed this myth that you have to do the free plus shipping, how much extra money would I have today? $300,000. I don't know about you, but I think every $300,000 helps, right? I mean, who wouldn't want an extra 300 grand? So here are two really, really big myths. Here's the third and biggest myth. And this is one that people are going to try to gloss over for you, all right? And what this is meant to say, now notice what we have here. Yes, these are probably the best looking, slightly inappropriate looking palm trees ever drawn here. But this is supposed to be a dude on a hammock between two palm trees, just sitting here in the sun, just relaxing, just living the internet lifestyle. He's just living the laptop lifestyle, bro. You just sell books, don't have to do anything ever. Well, that sounds really good in the infomercials, right? It's not necessarily true. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Okay? And what this means is that just because your book is inexpensive, and just because you're going to sell it for $5, hey, you might do free plus shipping, whatever you want to do is okay, you just don't have to. You might sell it as a $5 or $7 download. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean that all you got to do is be like, hey, I got this book, it's awesome, you should get it. Yay! And everyone's going to get it. You still have to actually try to sell something for $5 just as much as you would try to sell something for $50. Okay? So that's what I mean. There's no free lunch with this thing. The fact that it is inexpensive alone does not mean it's going to be easy, quote unquote, to sell. Now, if the idea of creating sales materials that actually sell this stuff is a little bit intimidating to you, and you're like, but dude, I don't know how to write copy and stuff. Well, that's what we're doing in this class. I've got a template for it and a framework for it. But if only I would teach it to you. Oh wait, I will teach it to you in this very class. I'll teach you the framework for the sales letter, and I'll teach you a framework for a video sales letter. So you'll never have the problem of not knowing how to do it again. But you got to do it, right? You can't just be like, I have a book, add to cart. That doesn't work, okay? We have to actually make a deliberate effort to sell it. And I'll teach you how to do it as we work together. But these are the big myths, right? So this has killed many a dream, both of these. This has kept people from actually starting a book funnel because they're like, I don't want to have to go out and order 100 or 1,000 copies of this book. That's going to set me back. And it will. And it sucks. Or you have people like, well, I did a book and I put it on a web page with an add to cart button because that's what it looks like on Amazon, and nobody bought it. Well, you still got to try, okay? So if we avoid these danger zones, life will be very, very good with a book funnel for you, okay? So are you liking the drawings? Are they good? Are you guys enjoying this, by the way, on the Facebooks or whatever? If you are, hit the like or the heart button and share this so we can help everybody, right? Everybody needs a book funnel, okay? Book funnels work really, really well, and plus, I feel really good about it if I know that I'm helping you. So let me know in the comments if you're enjoying it. Hit the heart button about 7 million times. Go crazy on the heart button there. If you're watching it on my webpage, thank you very much for being here. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. And I will answer, not all of them because there's probably a lot, but I'll answer the most relevant ones later when we're done this afternoon. Okay? So how, or what rather, does a book funnel sell? Okay? What can you really sell with a book funnel? Now, the first thing that comes to mind is that a book funnel is really good for selling books, right? And then you think, well, a book funnel, okay, who do I know that sold book funnels? Well, there's Brendan, so I know that like you buy his book funnel and then eventually you can buy one of his online classes or whatever. Or Frank, right? You know me, and you're like, well, you buy Frank's book funnel, you can buy his online class or his other thing or whatever. And it tends to, because we live in this narrow niche, right? I mean, if you're like me, then everybody you know is in the internet marketing world, like all your friends are doing it, so that tends to sort of give us tunnel vision. And we think, oh, well, book funnels are used only for this one thing. They're not, right? The answer to this question, which is, what can a book funnel actually sell, is damn near anything, okay? That's really what it is. So again, the way a book funnel works is you've really got two main components. This is the liquidation part. We'll call this the front end part right here. Let me move out of your way there. There we go. Yeah. So this right here is the front end part. This is the book. They buy the book. They go into that immediate liquidation funnel. Don't worry. I'll walk you through what mine looks like. The purpose of this is to get a book buyer for free, meaning break even, or a small profit. Okay? We don't really get super rich from this. I mean, maybe some people do, but typically they don't. The second part of the book funnel is what I call the main thing, also known as the 10x profit multiplier. This is what a book funnel really sells, right? The purpose of the book funnel was to get a buyer at break even or better, serve that buyer really, really well and impeccably so that they will successfully go through the process of your 10x profit multiplier. And I'll show you how all this works in a minute. Of course I will, throughout our entire time while we're going through this class, right? So the question is, well, what can we sell through a book funnel? So we know this part of it sells like books and information stuff, right? Typically, okay? So what can you sell through a 10x multiplier thing? Well, number one, let me get my blue pen here, is the obvious, right? So this is what like most people do, okay? Classes and courses. Okay, excuse my penmanship there. It's never been my strong suit. So if you're familiar with like the marketing world, that you know that if you buy a book from me, or if you buy a book from Brendan, or if you buy a book from Dean, or if you bought a book from Russell, right? And who else did we mention? I can't remember, but really anybody. Oh, Jeff, right? So if you buy any of our books or our book funnels, ultimately the main thing here is going to be classes and courses, right? Really simple, really dead simple. But it's not just that. Another thing you could sell is services, right? So if you're a consultant, right, services is it, or the Yagosky story, right? Remember, I bought that book pain-free years ago. I end up going there for the service of them helping me fix my back problems, which actually it worked, by the way. Thank you, fellas. That was great. So if you go through that services route, you can sell that through a book funnel, right? Another thing you can sell is masterminds. I'll just put Master M right there, right? Masterminds. Case in point being my man Joe Polish, right? Everybody knows and loves Joe Polish with the 25K group. That's all he's got. He's got a new book called, I think it's called The Marketing Book for the Average Joe. Guess what it tells them to do? Guess what the funnel is after they buy the book? Join the 25K group, right? So you're like, oh my gosh, a book can be sold for classes and courses. Yeah, but you can sell services, like actual services, like get your back fixed and stuff. You can sell masterminds for $25,000. Yes. I have another client. His name is Lawrence Bensdorp. Super cool guy. He's in the stock trading world. And this guy's like freakishly intelligent when it comes to trading stocks. He's very, very good at it. He has a book, and he has none of this, but he has this, right? So his book funnel goes straight from this right here. This is anywhere between $30,000 and $100,000 for one-on-one coaching. Let me fill that back in. Okay, coaching for how to do stocks better. There's probably a better term for that. You know, how to trade the stock market better. He's got clients all over the world. And for that kind of money, he'll go to their house and he'll work with them. And it's really, really cool, and they like it, and they're very happy. He's very happy. Book, straight into coaching, right? Awesome. Another thing you can sell is, of course, the brother of coaching, the cousin of coaching is going to be consulting, right? Perfect. Same thing. Another one is continuity, which is my main thing. My big thing really is continuity. So I have this thing called the Kern Inner Circle. A lot of you guys probably know about it, right? The whole purpose of this book right here, which is our only thing that we advertise, and we've been doing this since May of last year. The only thing, since May of 2016, yeah, that's last year. The only thing we advertise is this guy right here. The purpose of this is to demonstrate value, help people so that they're more inclined to join the Kern Inner Circle, right? The final thing is actual products. So, I know you'll find this hard to believe, but I'm not that great at exercising. Who would have guessed, right? And years ago, I was really not that great at exercising, and I'd gotten a little bit, what's a polite way to say it? Husky, right? A little bit husky is all it was. So I go to the bookstore. This is back when they had bookstores. This is like in the 90s, right? Right when I had just gotten started online. I started in 1999. And I go to the bookstore, and I buy this book, and the book is called Body for Life. How many of you guys remember the book Body for Life by a fellow named Bill Phillips? So type in if you remember that. Let me know if you've been through this thing too. Let me tell you something. That book is amazing. If you do what the book says, it's incredible, right? You'll get in great shape and you'll lose weight and you'll feel pretty good. I've gone through it twice. It's worked both times. What do you know? It's a fluke. You follow the directions and stuff actually happens. So I get the book, and all through the book, he's giving you these recipes right? And the recipes are like telling you to make these protein shakes and stuff and make dessert substitutes with this protein powder and to eat some energy bars and things. And all of the energy bars and the protein powder is made with this stuff called Myoplex. And Myoplex was made by this company called EAS. Guess who owned EAS? The author of the book. My man, Bill Phillips. I don't know Bill personally, but thank you for writing that book, Bill. It was awesome. You know, I heard that he sold EAS for something like $200 million. I don't know about you, but writing a book that helps people a lot and ultimately helping that build a company that you can sell for $200 million sounds pretty freaking cool, okay? So you can use a book. It's not limited to just information marketing, people. I'll give you another example. A friend of mine and client, Matt Zagula. What a name, right? Zagula. He lives in Weirton, West Virginia. Matt Zagula in Weirton, West Virginia. It sounds like something straight out of a book, doesn't it? Anyway, Matt is in the estate planning business, right? So his service, which is here, you're selling services, his service is helping people who are old plan for retirement and not lose all their money to the government, and if they die, not give it all up in probate and all of that kind of stuff. He wrote a book called Invasion of the Money Snatchers. His business, locally, kablam, exploded, right? Because of the way he leveraged the book. So book funnels can be used to sell all kinds of things, right? It's not just the tunnel vision for our little world. It's everything, right? That's why I said when I invited you to this, I was like, listen, I think every business can benefit from a book funnel. I really do. So the question now becomes, well, I think that's the next question. Let's see here. How do these newfangled book funnels actually make the sale? How do they really work? So I'm going to walk you through mine in a minute, okay? But first, I'll sort of diagram it out for you. And again, guys, if you want these notes, I know I've said it a million times, but people tune in and tune out and stuff. If you want the unvandalized copies of these pages that I'm flipping through right now, just text the word notes to 858-239-1008. You'll get an automated text back from us. You're going to have to give me permission to follow up with you via text. So you have to text yes. I don't want to be like out of compliance there. But earlier this morning, we actually took photographs of all of these and put them in a PDF for you. So if you'd like that, we got them for you. No problem. Okay, so how does a book funnel actually accomplish selling all the stuff that I mentioned on this earlier page, right? How do you do it? Well, I'll tell you how right now. How do you like them apples? Okay, first thing we got to do is remember we have two parts of a book funnel, part number one and part number two. Part number one is really, I call it the front end. The purpose of this is to get a customer, right, to get a buyer at break even or better. Okay, that's all we really care about here. And to do that in a way that's really friendly to the buyer, obviously. We don't want to get the buyer at any available cost, right? We want to be nice and we don't want to pull any shenanigans. That kind of goes without saying. Okay, part number two here is the 10x profit multiplier. This is the back end. This is the main thing, right? Don't worry, I'll show you how mine works in a minute so you really know. Okay, so let's kind of walk through it. So what happens is the first thing that we're doing is someone comes into the book funnel, they buy the book, they go through the liquidation funnel right here, and we're basically getting paid immediately, right? Because what they do, they bought a book, right? Which means they are paying us. And if we're driving traffic through advertising, which we always should be, I'll show you like statistically why in a minute, that means if we do it right and the gods are with us, right, then we're actually getting a little bit of profit right up front just for getting that book buyer. Dream situation. Now, what happens, what a book buyer really is right here is, I'm going to try to write this out for you. I don't know if you can see it. This is a buyer in need. So when somebody buys your book, right, they're basically identifying themselves as a buyer, number one, because they bought something. Now, man, I got to tell you, you got opt-ins, like you can drive traffic to an opt-in page or whatever, and you're going to get an opt-in. Those are not buyers. If you drive traffic to a book funnel, you're getting someone who has bought something from you. I'll guarantee you this right now. If you go out and you sell 1,000 books, and then you compare that to 1,000 email addresses that opted in. You send them both the same broadcast. Those people who bought the books, even though there are 9,000 fewer of them, you'll get more clicks and opens and response from your buyers than you will from your opt-ins. It's unbelievable, right? And it's logical. I mean, because they're buyers, okay? They're not just people wanting free stuff online. They're freaking buyers. And it's a whole different level of the game. Even though they only bought something for a couple bucks, it doesn't matter. Still a buyer, right? But what they are is they're a buyer in need. For example, when I sell this book, when someone buys this book, okay, how to get some consulting clients fast, even if no one's ever heard of you, these are buyers and they're in need. What are they in need of, right? What are they in need of? Clients, okay? They're in need of clients, and they're in need of clients fast, okay? So it's the job of the book, it's the job of the book content, okay? So I'll draw a little bit of this, to take them from being a buyer in need to being a buyer. Notice we've got a different face here, right? Smiley face with dollar signs. This person is now a buyer with confidence and capabilities. And I'll abbreviate that, right? So what happens is if he buys this book, I'll just use the word he because it's easy to remember. If he buys this book and reads the book, he is now a buyer with confidence and capabilities. Why? Okay? Well, if someone buys this book right here, right, which they should if they want to get clients fast, and they read it, they'd be like, okay, this makes sense. Well, what do you know? Here's the script for making the irresistible intrigue offer. I now have a capability, right? Here's the script for the collaborative close. I now have a capability. Here's how to find people that are most likely to pay me using advertising. I'll be damned, I now have a capability. Because I have gained all of these capabilities, I now feel confident. Okay, now let me ask you a question. If you feel confident and capable of getting a result, are you going to be more receptive to a proposition that says, would you like me to help you some more towards getting this result? Or are you going to be, I don't think so, skeptical, right? Clearly, you're going to feel more receptive. So when you create a buyer with confidence and capabilities, having that confidence and having those capabilities puts that person into what I like to call, it's supposed to be a star, there we go, what I like to call a receptive buying state. That means they feel good, they're happy, they can do something, they're confident, they're going to be receptive. Doesn't mean they're all going to buy. Of course, like not everybody buys everything. That's ludicrous, right? But they're going to be receptive, and that's going to make this thing work a lot better. And what this thing does is this is what actually makes you the fortune, okay? So this part is really the thing that this is built to support right here. So the question now becomes, well, how does this process actually take a buyer in need and create a buyer with confidence and capabilities? How's that work, right? What do we got to do? What's the process, you know? Well, it's simple. We give them something called results in advance. The act of providing somebody with results in advance is the single most powerful marketing and selling and bonding tool ever, period, right? If you can help somebody a little bit or even a lot prior to asking for a major commitment from them, they're going to be way more receptive to your offer because you have helped them, right? So what the book is designed to do is provide them with results in advance that make them feel confident and capable. For example, you buy this book, right? This is not an infomercial for the book. I'm assuming most of you guys have this book, right? So if you buy this book, you're going to know the process for generating leads. That's one result. You're like, heck, now I can get leads. Yay. You're going to know where to find these leads. I show you how to get Facebook audiences and stuff. You're going to be like, man, that's another result. You're going to know what to say to these leads. Actually, you're going to know how to get these leads on your list. Then you're going to know what to say to these leads so they're reaching out to you saying, hey, I'm interested in working with you. And then you're going to know what to say to those leads to convert them into an actual client. What is that? Results in advance. Before you ever get here to the main thing, you already have confidence and capabilities, right? So that really is how a book funnel is meant to function. Okay, so now what we need to do is I need to show you mechanically how to do that. So we got a lot of things we got to do, right? We got to figure out how to actually get the book done. That's thing number one. We got to figure out what to sell here. We got to figure out what to sell here. We got to figure out how to sell all of this stuff. Well, that's what we're going to do during our time together in this class. So what we're going to do, we're amazingly good on time. I need to switch. I think I can just do it, actually. I'm going to switch from whiteboard here. We looking good over there, Stas? All right. You can't hear him answer. Yeah, you probably think I'm just here by myself. I'm not. That would be pretty funny, though. Okay, so now I look at the red camera. We already practiced this. Okay, look at there. Am I good? All right. Get a little water. Let's see. So now I want to walk you through all this stuff. I'll wait for my man Andrew to move the camera a little bit. Okay, see if you can do something about this going on. Can you Photoshop that out? Look at that thing. That's not what you want right there. I tell you what, that's too much chicken. Okay. Clearly, this part won't be in the product. You know, this is what I mean when I told you earlier. It's like you're going to be seeing us potentially acting like a couple knuckleheads. By us, and a couple, I really mean me. You can't see Andrew or anybody else. So that's it. So I'm going to let him go ahead and get ready to where you can see my actual screen. All right. And now I want to walk you through this. And you know, Sass, I'm going to need to show them like my screen webinar style, and then I'll need to point to the big ass monitor over there as well. So if you could do the magic with the switching or whatever, but it doesn't have to be too fancy or anything. So tell me when you're ready, and we'll fire it up. Hope you guys are digging this, by the way. If you are, spread the love. Spread the love. Surely that's a song, right? Hit the love button on your Facebooks. If you're watching this through Facebook, if you're on my website, leave a nice comment or something. You know, my ego is very fragile. I need a lot of reassurance. Tell your friends, if you got a buddy who would benefit from being on this thing, feel free to forward the link to them. All are welcome here today. That would be good. Okay, so we good? All right. How do you like them apples? Okay, so now let me walk you through mine. Okay, so I'll show you how my book funnel works, and then I can't believe how lucky I got, by the way. All right, so first of all, like I told you, the book funnel is really divided into two parts. There's the front end funnel, all right, and then there's the main thing, okay? So the front end funnel, that's your book, all righty. And then you remember I drew that funnel on the paper and I was like, had the little drawing on the funnel? Well, what that really is a couple of one-click upsells after they buy the book. And then, this is optional, you can have something called a Slack adjuster, right? And a Slack adjuster is another offer that's made later that can sort of help you get your money back from advertising. Okay, so this one little chunk right now for us. Now remember, the book funnel here. Show me again here, Sass. And all right, there we go. So this is my book, right? And so I don't sell this physically anymore. It's all downloadable because there was no difference in selling. I would rather keep the money than have to pay it out in shipping. Nor do I want people to have to wait. It's a pain in the butt to track packages and stuff. But when we sell this right here, okay, the buyers go through that stuff on the screen. All right, so you can show the screen again real quick. Okay, so for this little part of the front end, not including the Slack adjuster. So can you show me in the screen real quick? Oh, look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that. So, but you can see it on your screen. So these two pieces right here, the first two boxes. So when we go back to the actual full screen, these two little pieces right here are providing. Oh, look, now he's moving look at him go over there. He's moving the camera back there. We're going to have a lot of editing in the real one. That's okay, though. It doesn't matter. You guys are cool, right? It's behind the scenes. That's what we're doing. Okay, so here, switch it back. Oh, never mind. We're good. Okay, just leave it there. All right, so those two boxes, the book and the one-click upsells, you see that text I have under that little diagram? It says I'm now averaging just under 20% profit per day just from that. So this means that on average every day, if I stick $1 in, I'm getting $1.20 back, and that's not including money made from the Slack adjuster. Okay, so that's just the red one. There we go. That's just the front end. Now the second part of this is the main thing. Okay, the main. What am I? Oh, all right. And I still look at the red one. Oh no, I look at the paper cam now. I think I'm paper camming it. That's red, so paper cam. Okay, I'm used to looking at it. Oh man, I'm all over the place. Okay. Well, you always want to make eye contact with people. All right, so that's not including the Slack adjuster. So the real money is in the main thing, and this is where the obnoxious profit comes. Am I red again? No. All right, there we go. Okay, so let me show you mine. Let me show you how it works, all right? So before I do, I just got to show you some numbers. This is ridiculous, okay? I cannot believe this actually happened. So last night, I took this screenshot for you. Hang on, I just dropped my little mic thingy. Last night, I took this screenshot for you, and it was around 6:30 in the evening. And this was right after I finished making those beautiful redneck PowerPoints for you. Thank you very much. And this is a shot from ClickFunnels, and it's showing you my sales for the day. And I want you to notice something. You see where it says $842.80 at the top? That's not the accurate sales number because ClickFunnels, for whatever reason, it doesn't count the last 2 upsells towards that total collected during the day. And I think it's just a glitch in my account. I think it works for everybody else's, right? So that final upsell that you see on your screen there, it says video black box, that's another $97 collected, and it's another $97 payable in 30 days. So in reality, what we actually collected yesterday was by like 6:30 was $939.80, okay? This is my Facebook ad spend. So this is a new campaign. I just launched it the night before last at around 11 o'clock. So that's why the spend is kind of low so far. The total amount spent there was $592.43. So I spent $592.43, and it turned into $939.80 collected. All right? Let me get you that through. Oh, man, I've jumped. Hang on. I want to show you something. I want to make this make more sense. Bing. There we go. Okay. Now, that was a total profit at yesterday at like 6:30 of 600. Is that right? Dang it. I moved my dang slides. Is that the one? No. Oh, hell, I've messed it up. Let's see. What was that profit? This is like the cool. I did this morning. I was like, and last night. Yeah, so 939, 5 something. Okay, so that profit was, where are we in the slides? Oh, hell, I've lost it. I drew over it. Let me show you the cooler part. So fast forward to this morning, okay? So this morning, I went and checked stats again, right? And I was like, okay, let's see what happened the rest of the day. Because remember that screenshot was from yesterday at like 6 o'clock or whatever, 6:30. So I woke up this morning at about 6:30. I'm like, I wonder if we actually kept making sales last night and stuff. And lo and behold, by the end of the day, by midnight last night, the total sales were actually $1,435.80 collected, okay? So notice that, again, you see that top number says 1,200, but ClickFunnels doesn't count those last 2 upsells in their stats. So each one of those are $97 collected. So if you add it all up, it's $1,435.80 collected. The total spend yesterday was $778.21. So if you do the math there, let's see if this is right. Man, I totally got this thing all wrong. If you do the math there, where are we? Boom. Now, if we do the math on that one from yesterday's totals, it was a net profit over ad spend of $659. That's an 84.5% return. Okay, now let's look at this morning. Okay, so I'm making these slides for you, clearly screwed it up this morning by getting them out of order. All right, so then I get up again this morning, and I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on for today. Okay, and this is a couple of hours ago today. So for this campaign that I just created, we had collected $684.40. And notice there's a discrepancy. It says at the top of the page there at $393.40. But again, there are 3 sales of $97 that ClickFunnels just doesn't count towards that total for whatever reason. It's, I think it's just a weird glitch in the system right now. But it's $684.40 collected. Now what's really cool is there are also another 3 additional payments of $97 that'll come in over time because some of these are payment plans. I don't even count that. Right? This is just numbers. This is just money collected. Have a look at this. I had only spent, when I took this screenshot for you this morning, and again, this is like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, I'd only spent $173.12. Now, that's ridiculous, right? Now, that total profit right there is $511.28. That's almost a 300% return on the ad spend. That means I put $1 in, I got my $1 back, and I got almost $3 more in profit in the same day. This is before noon in the same day, right? So this is just like ridiculous, and this is what I mean. Now, a couple things I got to tell you. Number one, this is a fluke. I can't believe this happened, right? It just like would never happen on the day of you're about to do the teaching. You just happen to have an amazing morning in terms of this brand new campaign. Usually, we don't have like a 300% profit on the ads in the same day. So it's typically going to be around 20%. So I put $1 in, that same day I'm getting my dollar back plus an additional 20 cents, usually, right? These just happen to be, for whatever reason, the gods were with me on that day and it was all cool. So let me show you like why a book funnel is typically better. Number one, you're getting buyers, right? Aside from like actually making profit. Number two, the list you generate, like I told you, is going to be roughly 10 times more responsive than someone who just opts in for a report or whatever. Ideally, like I just showed you, you're actually turning a profit on cash collected every day, which means that every future sale you make is profit. So let me show you something, all right? So I'll diagram it out for you. So the way our funnel works, okay, and that's to sell my consulting book, is I got ads, you've probably seen them, on Facebook, right? So people see a Facebook ad or whatever, they click the ad, they go to a sales letter that sells my book. Yes, I know, an actual sales letter. God forbid, you know what, old-fashioned over here. So they go to a sales letter that sells the book, and then when they buy the book, they see a couple of upsells, right? I have two products. I got my reframe product for $297. There's a downsell if they don't want it for split pay, and then there's video black box, and that's also a split pay of 2 payments of $97. So there's two different products I offer as one-click upsells, not obnoxious or anything, you know, just like, hey, all my videos are very educational. As a matter of fact, I'll teach you during this training the structure on how to script an upsell video specifically for this, right? So then that's it. So that one little part right there is responsible for the profits I just showed you in the past 24 hours. Just that little process, okay? So the next thing is the thank you page to all of this, whether they participate in the upsells or not, right, is they'll be taken to a webinar registration page. And the webinar is very, very good, and it's also positioned as a bonus to buying the book because it's very content rich, all right? So they can either register for the webinar or not. All right, so now I look and I say, well, did they register for it? And guess what? They don't all register for it. Who would have thought, right? If they don't register for it, I then put them in an invite sequence. It's a series of emails like, hey, you need to register for this webinar. It's a bonus for book buyers. It's really good. Here's what you're going to learn, right? And if they register, then on the day of the webinar, I send them a reminder sequence, and that webinar sells my Slack adjuster. Okay, so you can come back to me here for just a sec, Sass. All right, so this little chunk right here, oh, look, you can see it. Awesome. So this little chunk right here, this and this is what made the profits I just showed you. Okay, so this is where that money's coming from. This sells my Slack adjuster. My Slack adjuster is my client acquisition system, which is meant as a companion for this. Okay, so it's a little bit more expensive. It's $1,860 at a discount there. You could also buy it on my website if you wanted to for $3,000, but probably should get the book and go through the webinar and get your discount, right? And so if they don't register for this, then I'm just going to invite them to the webinar itself. So that whole thing is the first chunk of my book funnel. Now let me tell you something. This part is really optional, right? Like even if I don't have this, I'm still getting a book buyer at a pretty nice profit, right? And then, of course, they go on to buy the main thing, okay? So it's going to walk you through each little component individually so you can see it better. Hang on, I'll get a little water. Hope you all didn't pick up my water drinking sounds in the microphone there. Okay, so here's what my typical Facebook ad looks like. I test video ads, I test image ads. The test that you just saw right now that's producing all that profit, which is, again, I'd like to say, not a typical result. I can't believe I got so lucky as to launch a test and now it's working and I can show the results on camera in the same day. Like, that's very rare, but whatever. I'm a pretty lucky person, I suppose. So here's what my Facebook ad looks like. Nothing to it, right? Hey, go over here and get the book. This is actually an old ad because it says free book. Now it takes them to this sales letter. This is an older version of the sales letter back when I sold it as a physically shipped version. I no longer ship it physically. Now it's downloadable, okay? So then if they buy the book, they see one-click upsell. This is the one that offers my reframe training, okay? If they buy that or if they don't buy that, it doesn't matter. They see my second upsell. This offers video black box, and a lot of you guys have all of these trainings, and I hope you really enjoy them because I took a lot of pleasure in creating them for you. It was fun, and that's really kind of it for the thing that's generating all that profit every day. Like that's it. But I'm not going to get rich on making a 20% profit every day on my ad spend. 300% maybe so, but again, this morning was kind of a fluke. I think I just got a little bit lucky. Sometimes you get lucky, So no matter what happens, whether they take the upsells or not, the final page is registration for this automated webinar. right? And so it's, hey, this is free, it's for book owners only. And as you can see, there's no pressure, it's real friendly, there's no video, there's nothing hard. It's like, hey, here's some more stuff. Basically, it's going to help you get better results from your book. That's how it's positioned, because that's what it's meant to do. And if they don't register, I'm just going to send them a series of emails that go, hey, man, you should register for this webinar. It's really good. You bought the book. I created this additional advanced training for you, and it's really, really helpful, right? And so that's it. That's the whole thing in terms of the first chunk of the book funnel. And that's what we're doing right now, is this first chunk, all right? Now, none of that includes the main thing that I sell, where the real money is. This is just our front end of the book funnel, right? So you can do great with just these parts. Right? Just these parts, you could just have like a nice little machine that pays you. Of course, if you build them right, it'll be a little bit of work to set up, as everything worthwhile is. But this is the first chunk. So in order to actually do this, here are the assets that you need, right? And here are the assets that I'm going to help you create during our time together, during this training, which is awesome. Okay, so number one, you need a book. Right? You got to get yourself a book. Don't want you to write one unless you just feel like writing one, nor do I want you to hire a ghostwriter. I'm going to show you how to handle that today. Number two, you need a sales letter for the book. Remember when I said there's no such thing as a free lunch? Well, we're going to have something that actually sells the book. Have no fear. Your main man, Frankie, is going to walk you through exactly how to do that, which will be awesome. I'm going to give you the framework during this very training, so you'll never wonder how to do it again. You'll be set. It could also be a sales video. Now, you're going to, if you want to sell things via one-click upsell, some people don't, right? I recommend you do. You're going to need something to sell, right? You're going to need a product. Now, have no fear. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to show you all the different product types you could offer. The whole lineup is going to be awesome, right? And you're going to need some videos for those one-click upsells, okay? Some video sales letters. You could actually write a sales letter, but the testing indicates typically a video sales letter works better for a one-click upsell. All right, not too hard to do. I'll give you the framework during this training. They're very friendly. These type of videos are very, very educational. They're very helpful to your buyers. So if you do it properly, your buyer is not like, I can't believe this peckerhead's trying to show me this thing. You actually help them in the upsell video, and you're like, hey, if you want some more cool stuff, you can have it. Really cool way to go about doing that. I'll teach it to you. Then if you want to, now this is optional, keyword here is optional, you need a Slack adjuster product. Right? You don't have to have one, but I'm going to show you some concepts on how to do it. And then you need a funnel that sells the Slack adjuster, right? And I use automated webinars. I love automated webinars. They're very, very good. I like live ones too. Webinars are just cool, right? It allows you to really provide a lot of value up front. And then you're going to need the main thing, right? So a book funnel is all about selling the main thing. We never really think about the book until we think about what the main thing is. And I can hear you now. Right? I can hear you now. Oh, Lord, don't make me write a book. I don't want to write no book. Who would want to write a book? It's a pain in the ass, right? I don't want to write a book either. I didn't write either of these two books. Now, it's my content. 100% of that is straight from here on to here. But I didn't write it, nor did I hire somebody else to write it. Don't want to hire a ghostwriter. It's not really you, right? It's like a kind of rehashed version of you that you might lose something in there. So there's a process, right? And every single one of the books I've gotten published, which I published myself, follow the same process. So thing number one is you got to think of whatever the main thing is you want to sell, right? Whether it's a service, whether it's a physical product, whatever, and you want to create a webinar that sells that thing. And you want to create that webinar even if you haven't sold it yet. Now come back to me real quick. Sass, if you wouldn't mind, bring the camera. There we go. Thank you, sir. All right, so when I built my campaign for this, right, I wanted the back end, the Slack adjuster thing, to be an online class about how to get clients and how to actually take care of clients, how to run a consulting business. When I created the book funnel, the first thing I did was I created a webinar that sold that main thing class. That was the main thing at the time, right? It's no longer the main thing. Now it's just the Slack adjuster. But that was the main thing at the time. Guess what? When I built that pitch, I hadn't created the main thing, right? But what building the pitch did was allow me to get out of my head and onto like some document the coolest possible version of what the main thing would be, because I was excited, I was pitching it, and then all I had to do is go like, oh, well, here's what I said would be in it. This sounds really freaking awesome. I'll make this in the product, right? Now, if that idea freaks you out, there's a process for it. I'm going to walk you through it. It's really, really simple. I'm going to show it to you today. It takes one piece of paper. Uno piso o papiro. Okay, so next thing you want to do is you create that webinar and you record it. God forbid, not a recorded webinar. What if you screw it up? Well, here's the deal. You don't actually have to really try to make that webinar good. The only reason we're recording this webinar is so we can use that recording and get it transcribed, edited, and then turned into a book. Okay? So come back over here to your main man, Frankie, real quick. See this? This book is the edited transcript of the original webinar that I recorded. It wasn't nice. It wasn't good looking. Only purpose of the webinar was to get something out of my head onto a recording so someone could transcribe it and then edit it and make it look good. This book right here, Convert, same thing. I didn't sit down with a blank page and go, good Lord, I'm going to write an entire book. I mean, that's like writing a term paper. It's horrible, right? You don't want to do that. So I created a webinar. I recorded the webinar. The webinar was terrible, right? I made a million mistakes. It wasn't particularly good. Didn't care. Whole purpose of the webinar was to get something on recording that I can hand off to a transcriptionist and go, please make this usable. All right, I can go back and brush it up later, but kind of get this thing to the 80-yard line so it'll be good so then I can make it better. Every single book, right, every one of them that has been a success, I have created in that particular fashion, right? So what we want to do now is I want to help you create this webinar. And again, I cannot stress this enough. You don't need to worry about this webinar being perfect right now. There are two people in the world that are going to hear this webinar. It's going to be you, and it's going to be whoever transcribes it, right? And then who cares what the transcriptionist thinks, because they're used to transcribing all kinds of stuff every single day, right? Now, you can go back and make a really good webinar later. The purpose of recording this is to get it out of your head into a recording, into a document that can be edited and turned into a book. Now, here's what's going to happen when you get the transcripts back. You're going to have the urge to look at them. Don't look at the transcripts, okay? They're going to look terrible because the way we talk when transcribed is awful. It's all run-on sentences and stumbling and stuff, and it's just weird, right? So if you were to describe or transcribe that last sentence, it'd be this long run-on sentence, and it wouldn't make any sense. Instead, get it transcribed. You're going to use a service like rev.com. It's a whopping $1 per minute. Nothing, right? Nothing. And then you're going to want to go to Fiverr, and you're going to want to go click on the writing and editing services, choose whoever has the best ratings and say, please edit this thing and make it usable so I can put it in a book. They're going to charge you a couple $100. Only look at the edited version. If you look at the transcript, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is horrible. I can't use it. Don't worry about it. Your editor person on Fiverr is going to make it nice, right? Then you get that edited version, you proof it, you tweak whatever you want to tweak, make sure like, oh, I could have said that better, whatever. Now you got a book, baby, and it's rocking, and it's good. So what I'm going to do in our next, man, we're on perfect timing. This is amazing. What I'm going to do in the next little segment here is we're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to walk you through two things. I'm going to walk you through what I call the ladder to yes, right, which is the framework for really making sure that what goes in here is actually very, very helpful. Okay, there's a very simple framework. So I'm not telling you just to record a bunch of crap. We're not going to do that. We're going to record something awesome for people. It's really going to help them. I'm going to show you the framework for that. Then I'm going to teach you how to turn it into a webinar. And by the way, the reason I want you to turn it into a webinar is because if you're reading something and you're looking at slides on your screen, it helps your mind stay focused, right? So if you just talk like you're giving a presentation, you won't self-edit. You won't get lost. That's the only reason we put it in webinar format, because it's just easy to remember where you are in terms of your presentation. Remember, you're the only one going to see this right now, just you and the transcriptionist. You don't have to give it to the public, so don't be afraid. So our next mission now is to actually use a webinar to get the dang book made, right? And the first thing when I kind of help people with this is they're like, dude, I've never done a webinar. What if I don't have the main thing ready to sell? What if I'm not good at selling on webinars? Don't worry about it. All we're really trying to do is get stuff out of here onto a screen so you can talk about it into a microphone. I just use the built-in mic on my laptop here and then get that transcribed, okay? So now that kind of leads us to the question of, okay, well, how do I really format the content of the book to make sure it's going to be good and actually do that really important stuff that you were talking about, which is to provide results in advance and create a buyer with confidence and capabilities, right? How do you do it? Well, I want to show you the most powerful thing I've ever discovered. Oh, look, man, I can talk about this and you can see it on the screen. How about that? That's amazing. All right. This is so cool. I'm very easily entertained, as you can tell. So this is something that really I call the blueprint to yes. And this framework is literally responsible for every dollar I've ever made, selling things through marketing. I believe personally that this is the single most powerful selling method in the world, whether you're selling in person or you're selling in a live conference like this one or a video conference thingy like this one. Obviously, we're not in the same room. Or if you're selling from stage or if you're selling in sales letters. I mean, this is like the thing. This is like the one thing, right, that really profoundly helps people and gets people ready to buy from you. And it does so while preserving and creating a tremendous amount of goodwill. So here's the deal. No matter what, all right, every product you ever create. Now, during our training together, I'm going to walk you through how to make 5 products, and I'm going to walk you through 4 big ticket offers as well while we work together. So it doesn't matter what you're selling, it's going to follow this framework, which is cool because that means we have like one thing that we always can go back to. So there's no overwhelm involved, which is great. You know, who wants overwhelm, right? That's no fun. Every marketing campaign ever is going to be dictated by this framework. Now, who's watching this going, you know what? I bet Kern's got something for sale here. Well, you're right. I do. And guess what framework I'm following? This one. You'll see in a minute. You'll literally watch this in action by watching me do it. It's pretty cool. I don't have anything to sell you today during this presentation. I should, though, shouldn't I? What kind of marketer am I? Every dollar, like I said, ever made selling information has been the result of religiously following this framework. And if you follow this, you're never going to have writer's block. You're never going to be overwhelmed. You're never going to be stuck, right? So this is very simple. It's very easy. It's very effective. And I guess the major, probably most important benefits is your products are going to be awesome and your customers are going to be happy, right? How many like customers would I have if my book sucked? They'd buy the book and they'd be like, that book sucked. I never want to hear from this guy again. But my book buyers buy over and over and over again because the books are good. The books are good because I follow this framework, you see. Yay, it's a big happy like circle. So here's the thing. Here's what people really buy, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a book, if it's a course, or if it's a seminar, if it's a professional service. It could be even a new wardrobe. It doesn't matter. What people really buy is the following, okay? What they're really buying is something called escape and arrival, all right? They're trying to escape from where they don't want to be. Now, typically that's not a physical location. That's an emotional state, or it is a situation, right? And they're trying to arrive to where they do want to be. I'll diagram this out for you in a minute here. Now, your job is to simply map out their escape route and help them arrive to where they want to arrive to. And we do this following a framework, and that framework is called the Escape and Arrival Framework. By the way, if you like this, guys, hit the love button. That just sounds funny, doesn't it? Hit the love button on here on the Facebooks. And if you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching it on my site, share it with your friends, man. Copy and paste that URL. Send it to some friends of yours, assuming you have permission to contact them, of course, all right? So let's talk about this escape and arrival framework. I'm telling you, super simple. You follow this, it'll change your life. Ever since I discovered this, life has been so much easier for me. I discovered it back in 2004. Everything changed. Like literally, my income went from following this thing. Follow it religiously. I've been teaching it forever. Won't stop teaching it until I stop breathing. All right, so here's the deal. We map this out on 2 levels, okay? Level number 1 is called the global escape and arrival level. And in this level, what we do is we make a list of everything your prospect, let's say your reader, everything your reader has to do to escape their current situation and then arrive at their desired situation. Okay? So really what it is this is the big picture overview of what they ought to do. So the way I learned this, you can come back to me, by the way, Sass, if you want to. The way I learned this is years ago in 2004, I think. It's been a long time. Through some freaking miraculous series of events, a New York Times best-selling author, legitimate actual person, agreed to let me, who was completely unknown, help them with their marketing. And the person, his name was Neil Strauss, he's a friend of mine to this day, had written a book on dating advice for men. And I somehow got him, my cousin Trey did it with me, we somehow got him to agree to have us help him create a dating advice product, which is like 5 times more than any other product of its kind in the marketplace, and do the marketing for it. All right? And so we never thought he'd say yes. So we put all of our work into getting the guy to say yes, right? And then when he said yes, we're like, well, okay. Now what do we do, right? And he's like, well, put together the marketing and help these guys and let's sell the thing, And so we told him how to create the course, and he did everything perfectly. He's an amazing guy. And then we're kind of tasked with doing the marketing. Now, this stuff is about dating, right? It's about for guys to go out and learn how to meet beautiful women and convince those women to go out on dates with them. And so that sounds really good, but the people writing the marketing were me and Trey, and neither one of us had any clue how to do that, okay? Like, we were both just straight out of the nerd handbook, all right? Like, if you looked up, like, super dork, it would be us. So we had no idea what to do. So we're like, okay, we don't know what to say in the marketing, right? And then we're like, dude, Neil, we have this brilliant idea, and we think we should do a series of teleseminars. This is before like webinars were even big. This is on the phone. We're like, we should do a series of teleseminars where you kind of teach dudes like the basic steps of what to do. And really, between you and I, we were kind of trying to buy time. We were like, well, we'll just do something and people will be happy, and then it'll give us an excuse to email them again, and eventually we can sell them something once we figure this out. So, right, what are like the major steps that a guy's got to do to leave mom's basement and go out and actually talk to a nice girl and have a date with her? And he's like, well, dude, first thing you got to do is like not wear the Darth Vader costume that you sleep in every night, and maybe put on, some nicer clothes. And then you got to learn how to go up and say hello. And then once you say hello, you have to like talk to them and not say anything weird. And then you got to ask them for their number, and then you go out on the date and you don't do anything stupid. I'm like, okay. So we did a teleseminar. By we, I mean Trey and I wrote the email copy for it. Neil did the teleseminar. The teleseminar was all about how to go up and say hello to an attractive woman. Because for most guys, that's like, I think most men would actually feel more comfortable entering combat in Afghanistan than doing that. It's like, okay, you got two choices. Choice number 2, you can go talk to that girl. She's with her friends. She's beautiful. Choice number 1 is you can go to Afghanistan. Most guys are going to be like, how bad could Afghanistan be, right? So we like send out the email. We get everybody to come to this teleseminar. Neil does an amazing job. We did nothing. He does an amazing job telling guys like how to basically not act stupid and go up and be nice and say hello and engage in conversation. And the damnedest thing happened. And this, I'll never forget this. This literally changed my life. So teleseminar is over. We get flooded with people coming back who were on that teleseminar saying, man, that was the greatest thing ever, and I'm going to go do it. And we're like, okay. And then the next day, we get even more flooding with people who are on that teleseminar, and I'll never forget the magic words. The magic words were, thank you, now what? What had happened was the guys on the teleseminar did what Neil said, and they went out and they go to wherever they're going, and they see said girl, and they say, hello, my name's Bob. And they don't say anything stupid. And she's like, oh, hey, Bob, how's it going? And now Bob's like, pretty good. You like Han Solo? And he doesn't know what to say now, right? So they're like, dude, thank you so much. Now what do we do? Because we went out and we talked to them, and they didn't like mace us, and then what do I do, right? And I was like, oh my God, dude. If we just help them get each little thing done in advance, by the time we've got them where they can actually get the phone number, we're not even going to have to try to sell them the main course, because they're going to be like, dude, just tell me what to do. I got a number. I got the date on Friday. I don't want to screw this up, right? So that's where this whole concept of results in advance came from. And after that happened, and by the way, we sold, I think it was $1.4 million worth of dating advice products in 4 hours. We completely sold it out. It was incredible using this, right? I'm like, wait a minute, this was like freakishly good, because our marketing wasn't that good. But they were helped so much that we didn't have to be good. We were just like, okay, fellas, here it is. And because they'd already gone out and they were like already at the getting numbers stage, and they're like, please don't, we've never been on a date with a girl that's pretty. Just tell us what to do so we don't screw it up. We don't care. Our sales letter didn't have to be that great. We didn't have to really know what we were doing. It was awesome. Okay, so here's like the now structure based on that, okay? So once you have that big picture global level, that's everything they got to do, you take each step that they have to do is called a milestone, and then you outline the same thing, which is what do you have to do to get through that milestone, okay? So both levels use the same framework, which uses something called the timeline method, all right? So here we go. I'm going to show you the timeline method. So what you do is you get out a piece of paper, and you draw 2 points on the piece of paper. On the left is the thing they're trying to escape from, On the right is where they're trying to arrive to, and you draw a line. And that line connects those 2 points, okay? And then this is the global level. And then what you do is you make a little list from left to right in proper order of everything they have to do to actually escape from bad and arrive at good, right? So let's do the process. You can come back to me, Sass, if you want to. Let's do the process, and let's say that we're writing a book, right, for a business owner who wants to sell things online. Okay, so we want to do the best job we can for this person. So the first thing before we ever write a page, we're not going to write a page anyway, we're going to use the method I'm going to teach you right now. The first thing before we ever do anything is we're going to do this. And we're going to say, okay, let's think about this fella, right? He's got himself a business. He wants to have it on the interwebs so he can sell stuff on the interwebs. Okay, that'll be cool. So we do our little thing. We say escape from, arrive to. We draw our little line, and we start brainstorming. We think, well, what's he got to do? All right, and we're like, well, the first thing we got to do is he's got to have a website. Duh. Okay, so we got to get him set up. Well, no, once he's got that, what does he got to do? Well, he's going to need to figure out how to accept payments if he wants to sell something on the internet. So nothing's going to happen unless he's got those 2 things. So now that he's got that, what's he going to need? Well, he's going to need like the fundamental web pages. Yeah, he's going to have like About Me. He's going to have a home page and stuff like that at the very least, right? You got to have those. And then once he's got those, well, then he's got to have like marketing pages that actually sell stuff. You know, you and I both know you can't just have a website that says, we sell tires, give us money. Like you actually have to have a page for the tires or whatever and talk about how good they are and have a little button and everything. And then he's got to know what to say on those pages, right? That's called marketing messaging, right? So he's got to have that. And, well, he's going to need to automate stuff. And, man, it doesn't have to be fancy automation at this stage. It's got to be like, you know, if someone clicks on the button to order the tires, it's got to actually work, you know. And once he's got that, he's going to have to get some traffic, right? Because what's the point of having a website with no traffic? And then if he's getting traffic, he's going to need to know what's working. So he's got to understand analytics. And then once he gets all that, he's probably ready for some advanced marketing. Man, if he goes through all of these things, my man's going to be selling stuff on the internet like crazy, right? So that's what I want you to do. Step number 1 is write down everything he's got to do. And here's what our brain's going to try to do. Because your brain, if it's anything like mine, it's kind of an asshole, right? Your brain, if your brain is like mine, is going to be like, well, dude, I don't know how to do all that stuff. It's not going to work. Might as well go back to whatever makes me comfortable, right? Well, don't listen to it. Because here's the good news. You don't have to teach all of this stuff. You just want to know what it is so you can recognize the parts of this framework that are your areas of expertise. Okay? I'll show you in a minute. All right? I'll kind of tie it together. So have a look here. This thing, the setup website thingy, this is a milestone, right? That's what we call a milestone. He has to reach this milestone in order to get closer. Once he reaches this milestone, now he's got to go to this milestone. So every single one of these things, these are called milestones. Right? So once we identify all the milestones, then what we choose is we choose the milestones that we know stuff about, right? And then we do the same process for those milestones. Let me give you an example, okay? So in the milestone level, we simply do the same thing. We draw this escape and arrive to, and we draw our little points, all right? And that's it. So let's use the example that we're going to walk him through that first milestone, which is how to set up a website. Let's say you know how to do that. That's going to be in your book. You know, first thing you got to do is set up a website. Well, what we do is real simple. We go, okay, on the left, he's got no website. On the right, he's got himself a website. He's just as pleased as he can be, right? What does he have to do to get from left to right? And then we draw it out. So we say, well, number 1, he's got to find a domain. Right? Now, that might seem simple to you, but if it's not his first language, he has no idea. Right? And as a matter of fact, I want to bring that up right now. This is a big one. A lot of times, I get this with my inner circle members all the time, by the way. My inner circle members are like, dude, I just don't really know what more I could teach these guys. And here's the thing. Your area of expertise is like your first language. You're so immersed in it that you have no idea how valuable it truly is to someone where it's not their first language, right? You might be like, yeah, dude, you find a domain and you register it and you get some hosting and like, what? I don't know, what's the big deal? Everybody knows that. Everybody does not know that. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, this is how I actually learned this. It was eye-opening for me. Years ago, my main man John Reese and I were interviewed by Tony Robbins for a product line that I helped him create and launch. It's called the New Money Masters. So a while back, I had the great luck and just a really good time of helping Tony create some offers and some products and stuff. It's cool. Really cool guy, by the way. Awesome dude. So we're there, we're doing the interviews, it's time for lunch, right? And we did, Tony had interviewed John, and John Reese was like unbelievably intelligent, and Tony's like, damn, this guy's smart. And then he interviews me, and he's like, he's got a good personality, And then we go to lunch, and we're sitting there at lunch, and Tony's like, well, how does it work, what you guys are doing? And we're like, well, a lot of stuff we do by email marketing. He's like, so what, you just like sit down and you write everybody? And we're like, no, dude. People go to your website and they opt in, and you can program this entire series of emails that'll tell them to do stuff, and you can even change what they're getting based on what they click. Now, to us, right, to you even, you're probably like, yeah, dude, it's an autoresponder. It was not Tony's first language, right? He had no idea what we were talking about, not because there's something wrong with him, right? Because it's his ninth language. His first language is transforming people's lives through the sheer power of his unbelievable presence and his skill set in that life, right? That's his first language. Selling stuff on the internet was like his 9 billionth language. He had no clue what we're talking about. We spent the entire lunch, it was hours, talking about, yeah, man, so an opt-in kind of works like this, and then you can program an email to go like this, and here's kind of how an email should actually look, and yeah, and then if they click on it, you can actually do this and this, and he's just like, you have got to be kidding me, dude, that's amazing, right? And I'm like, holy crap, this stuff, not everybody knows this stuff. This is amazing. You've got the same thing, right? So one of the cardinal mistakes that we make when we're creating information products, or we're thinking about doing a book, or we're thinking about getting our message out there, is we don't understand how valuable the stuff we know is, because we're so immersed in it, we think everybody knows it. They don't know it. Tony's one of the smartest people you'll ever meet in your entire life. He didn't know it, not because he's ignorant. He just said no one had ever sat down and explained email marketing to him. He's got other stuff to do. He's like flying around the globe. I think he's in New York City right now with 15,000 people. Good for him. He's awesome, right? Same thing with you, okay? So it might seem to you as you're going through this, we can go back to the screen now, SAS, that this is super mundane, right? You mean to tell me you're going to do all of this for set up a website? Yeah, dude, because it's not their first language. So the first thing you got to do, find a domain. Person who's never set up a website before has no idea what that even entails. Then you got to buy it, right? Now they're going to have questions. It's not their first language. Where do you buy it? What's the difference, right? Then you're going to have to be like, choose hosting. Like, wait a minute, what? Hosting? What's that? What kind of host should I use? Do I use WordPress hosting? Do I use cloud hosting? Do I get a dedicated server? All this kind of stuff they have no idea about, right? You and I are like, oh yeah, it's good, GoDaddy, whatever. Not them. It's not their first language. Right? They've never done it before in their lives. They have all kinds of questions, which they should, and you should be glad that they do. Even if you look at find a domain and buy a domain, what happens if their domain is taken? How do they come up with domain ideas? Right? They have no clue. Okay, so the next phase of that is going to be, well, now that you got your website, jimstires.com or whatever, you got to set up email so you can be jim@jimstires.com. Guess what? They've never set up a website. That's magic to them. They have no freaking clue how to do it at all. To you, probably easiest thing in the world. To them, no clue. Right? So never take your knowledge for granted. Next thing, you got to teach them how to use like cPanel or whatever, if you're doing that, or WordPress. And then you got to, maybe you want to help them build a homepage. So they actually have a website. Because at the very minimum, a website's going to have a homepage that says Jim's Tires. Right? And that's the whole thing, the escape and arrival framework for setting up a website. Right? Well, let's say we want to do again for accept payments. Right? So that was the second milestone. So we go, okay. So draw a little circle. It says can accept payments, right? Draw the line, and we start going, okay, what's the first thing you got to do to accept payments? Well, you got to know your choices. Should I do Stripe? Should I do PayPal? Should I get a real merchant account? Right? You don't know. It depends. They have no idea any of that stuff even works. You take an average guy off the street and say, yeah, do you know how to accept credit cards on the internet? They're going to say, no. What are you talking about? Right? Guess what? It's not their first language. It's yours. Okay? Then you got to get a merchant account. How do you apply to a merchant account? Who should you use? Who's going to screw you? Who's good? How do you know you're going to get the money? Then, once you have a merchant account, well, dude, you got to actually get the credit card from them and have them put it onto something on your website called an order form, and that's going to take a shopping cart, and then you got to make the shopping cart talk to the merchant account so you can actually accept payment. And then you got to put all that stuff on your website, make an order button work and everything. Now, to you, it's as easy as going and getting a ClickFunnels account or Samcart or Kajabi or whatever. To them, they've never heard of any of that stuff, right? So they're like, mind blown. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm learning something. Okay? So I think you get it. So let's say now that we want to teach them the next step, which is to build the fundamental pages, right? Fundamental pages. So what are they? Well, first thing you got to do if you're going to build a web page, you got to have a web page builder. What should you use? Should you use ClickFunnels? Should you use Optimized Press? Should you use Lead Pages? Should you use the thing that you get with GoDaddy or whatever? Like, they're not going to know what any of those things are. And then if you have, you got to have like a product page if you want to sell something. What does that look like? How the hell do you build one of those? What do you put a picture of your product? And now if you didn't teach them how to do this, their product page would be a giant 7 billion megabyte picture that was taken in high resolution on a web page with a little thing that says buy this, and it will take 10 years to load. You know this, right? You know it from the early days of trying to build stuff online. If you don't teach them how to do it right, that's what their product page is going to be like. So you got to teach them how to build a product page. You got to teach them how to build an order page, right? Whether that's just like, okay, here's how to build an order page in ClickFunnels and link it, or here's how to build one in whatever, Samcart or Infusionsoft or Kajabi, it doesn't matter. They don't know how to do it, okay? Then a thank you page. What do you mean? What's the thank you page? You know what that is, a page they see after they buy stuff. They don't know, right? Your customer has no freaking clue. You're blowing their minds right now. And then you got to teach them how to tie all that stuff together, right? So you get it, right? Now, look, let me show you something. Let's go here. Now, notice that when we looked at the global escape and arrival framework, hang on, look at that. These sound effects make it work better. When we looked at all of this stuff, come back to me, right? We were like, okay, here's the global escape and arrival of a guy. If we're writing a book for someone who wants to sell something online, here's all the stuff we got to do, or that he's got to do. Guess what? Your book, you don't have to have a milestone level escape and arrival thing for every single one of these pages. They might not be your area of expertise. Like for me, if I was writing this book, I would do terrible here, I would do terrible here, I would do terrible here, right? I would do okay here, I'd do awesome here, I would do awesome here, I would do awesome here, not so good at analytics, I would do awesome at advanced marketing. You're probably going to be the same way. You don't have to write the freaking book about every single aspect of this. You choose the ones that are most important, that you know and that you can really help them with, and now that's the topic of your book. Okay, so let's move forward. Now, where was I in the dang slideshow thingy here? Let's see. Did the setup milestone, boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. Okay, there we go. Soundtrack. I mean, the sound effects really make it better. Don't you think? That's really something. Okay, so here's the thing. Hang on, I'm losing my voice. I don't usually talk this much. I usually stay in my office in my house in complete silence, listening to Focus at Will, writing stuff for y'all. So I'm not normally this much of a talker. Hang on. My wife and daughter, by the way, have these gnarly coughs. I'm just like, please don't get it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm making deals. I'm like, all right, God, if I'm going to have to get it, can I get it like Monday? So I can do this and teach everybody. But so far, so good. I don't think I'm going to get it. He tends to do me right. So for me, like I said, see the things that are circled in red there? These are the things that I'm pretty good at, right? This is the world I live in. So I'm making content. I'm making it about this stuff. Marketing pages, marketing messaging, and automation, right? Sometimes traffic, very rarely analytics, and a lot of times advanced marketing, okay? But this is my little world. So how do you actually now use that framework to create a webinar that can be transcribed and now turned into a book? Now remember, at this phase, you don't have to make a webinar that actually sells, the main thing, right? You don't have to like make a sales webinar. But since we're going to build a webinar anyway, I might as well teach you how to make a webinar that sells something, because, hey, you might be like, shoot, man, screw it. I want to build a webinar that's an awesome pitch, and then I'll make my main thing or my Slack adjuster or whatever based on the pitch, right? So that's what we're going to do. So the one-page webinar framework is the one that I'm going to teach you now, and this thing is pretty sweet. We're doing great on time. This is miraculous that we're actually sticking with the agenda time. Might finish this one early. Don't really know. Not too worried about it. I think we're all pretty laid-back bunch here. So let's get cracking. Now, that is beautiful, right? So what this is this is a screenshot of a piece of paper on a notepad. What you want to do is, I don't know if you can quite see it, put it on the screen. There you go. You just want to take a sheet of paper and divide it into 6 square segments like I've got right there. That's it, right? So if you want to be fancy and do it on your computer or something, knock yourself out. I like to use paper because the computer things are a little bit harder for me to use. Okay, so each one of these segments now is a component of your webinar. All right, so here we go. So now look, that's fancy, isn't it? Okay, so we basically have 6 steps to a webinar that works, right? And by the way, these webinars that I teach and the webinars that I do and perform are high content. So I'll tell you in advance right now that other webinar styles will outsell mine, this method, but oftentimes your audience will be left going, ew, that was a little sleazy. I will sacrifice a little bit lower conversion for a better relationship with the audience because I know if I keep helping them, they'll buy something eventually. Okay, so we're going to focus a lot on being super cool in this one. So the first section here is called the confirmation. All right, in the confirmation, your job is to confirm that they've made the right decision to attend. Right, so whether you're reading a book or attending a webinar or a presentation, you're going to need to sell them on staying, right? Like, have you ever noticed a lot of books say, hey, welcome to this book, here's all the cool stuff you're going to learn in this book? They're selling you on continuing reading the book. When we do a webinar, we need to do the same thing, right? It's very, very simple, though. You also, during this phase of the webinar, you want to introduce yourself to reestablish familiarity, right? Or in this case, actually establish familiarity. You want them to know who's talking to them, right? Kind of basic. Now, this part's really, really easy. If I've done everything correctly, and this will be a miracle, you'll actually see the slides here in a minute. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to sell them on staying by telling them what they're getting. So I'll show you some slides from some of my webinars to kind of walk you through how this works, okay? So in my webinar that sells webinars, by the way, this is in the confirmation part. This is me doing the introduction. Right, so there's a little picture of me, and it says, hey, I'll say my name's Frank Kern, I'm 44 years old, I'm married, I live in San Diego with my wife and 4 kids, 1 dog and 2 bunnies. Thankfully, we gave the bunnies away. So now I got to amend that with just 1 dog. His name's Charlie Murphy. I'm a marketing advisor to celebrities like Tony Robbins, software companies like Infusionsoft, investment firms like Memphis Invest, and over 150,000 small businesses worldwide. And I currently spend between $35,000 and $90,000 per month on advertising campaigns that incorporate webinars with a measurably profitable return on ad spend. And I built webinars that sell information, products, professional services, and recruiting for financial services firms, and even use webinars to sell actual houses. So that's 1 slide, bing, and that's just me introducing myself, right? Now, the way this is really different is a lot of times the webinar ends up being about the person who's given the webinar. And there's a place for that, but that's not what the webinar should really be about. I'm sure you're not watching this right now because you're intensely fascinated with my life story. You're not like, well, tell us about your childhood. That's fascinating. No, you're like, dude, I want you to help me do something, right? Your audience is the same way, so you always want to make everything about them. So notice that was 1 slide. Bing, that was it. Nothing. A slide, 4 bullet points, okay? No big deal. All right, so here's another example. This is the one where I'm telling them, here's what you're going to learn. I'm reselling them on staying. Here's what you'll learn during this presentation. I'm going to show you the 1-page webinar framework for selling, producing, and launching webinars that sell. I'm going to show you the 12-part polite pitch formula that lets you make an offer without being obnoxious or feeling like a sleazy salesperson. I'll show you how to have a webinar presentation that's genuinely helpful to your audience, but still sells like crazy at the same time. 3 bullet points, 1 slide. Super simple, right? Super duper simple. Really no problemo, okay? So now our next phase here is something called the difference. And here's why you gotta have this. Now, by show of hands in the comment section, right? So how many of you guys have been on a webinar before? Obviously everybody, right? Have all of them been awesome? Or have you ever been on a webinar where you're like, this was the biggest waste of time? All I heard was this guy's rags to riches story, and then he pitched me. And I didn't get anything useful at all, okay? That's the greatest thing that could happen to your prospects, and that could be the greatest thing that could have been done to them by your competitors. Because what it does is it allows you to instantly stand above, right? And rise above and be positioned as better by simply not doing that. But because it is almost a quantifiable fact, I mean, surely there's someone who's never been on a webinar before, but it's almost a universally applicable fact that everyone has been on a webinar before, and they've been on a shitty webinar before and they were disappointed. We have to immediately let them know that this is going to be different, right? Right off the bat. Otherwise, they're like, well, it's the same thing. So we got to grab them, right? So here's what we do. First thing we do is we acknowledge skepticism and objections. Hang on, I need a little water. Now, why do we want to do that? Because every single person is going to be skeptical and they're going to have objections. Like, it's normal, right? What do you think? People are going to show up on the webinar going, everything this person says is going to be true. It's going to be amazing. I have absolutely no objections. No, dude, they're not. Everybody has skepticism. We might as well address it right up front, right? We also want to magnetize the audience by polarizing them. Your webinar is going to be made up of two groups of people. People you want as customers and people you don't. You will be magnetic to the people that you want by being repulsive to the people that you don't want. So we want to do that as well to further bond with the good ones. And these two actions here, what they're going to do is they're going to help silence the audience's inner dialogue. This otherwise going to be asking like, yeah, but what about this, right? So notice how earlier I was like, hey, look, you notice that we just put all of these things on this escape and arrival framework. You might be thinking, yeah, but I don't know how to do all of those things. I acknowledge that skepticism to turn that voice off in your mind, right? When I'm framing the book funnel blueprint for you, even today, I was like, hey, listen, you're never going to write a page. Writing a book sucks, right? When I was framing that you're going to do this webinar, I was like, hey, don't worry about it. I know you might be worried that, hey, I got to make this perfect webinar. Nope, you're just going to make anything that you can to get it out of your head and record it so a transcriptionist can give it to an editor, so now you have something to work with, right? So you always have to be aware of what their concerns are going to be so you can address them head on. I don't mean overcome them and BS anybody. Just like say, all right, here's what you're probably worried about. And hey, if there's a good reason to be worried about it, tell them. You'll like immediately differentiate yourself. And they're going to trust you more because you're, God forbid, 100% honest with them, right? Novel concept. Okay, so let me give you some examples, right? In my webinar that sells webinars, I know that one of the biggest objections people have when I'm like, hey, you know, I've sold webinars and here are the results I've had and it's been really awesome, et cetera. One of the things going through their mind, if they know me, they're like, well, of course it's worked for you, dude. You're Frank Kern. You have magic powers. You have a big list. Everybody already knows you. It can't work for me because nobody knows you, right? So what am I going to do? Ignore that? No. They're going to be thinking about it the whole time. Everything I say is going to be tainted with that belief of theirs. But if I come right out up front and I say, you know what? I got a confession to make. Of course I've got an unfair advantage. You know, I've been doing this since 1999. A lot of people already know me in the industry. I got a huge list of people. Some of them even like me, right? So I come right out and acknowledge that skepticism, right? Here's another one. This is where I'm just basically polarizing, right? I say, look, here are the house rules. First of all, look, if you're a get-rich-quick person, if you're looking for that kind of thing, this isn't for you. If you want some magic system where you can do nothing and get paid, I don't know what that is. I don't have one of those. I can't help you. If you want to just pretend to be an expert at something but not actually help people, I can't help you. And by the way, I'm going to show you some really amazing results I have, but I'm not going to be like all these other guys and going, and you can do this too in 5 minutes in your underwear. I don't know what you're going to do. I'm going to show you some numbers, and I'm just showing you because I'm really proud of them, and I just want to show you conceptually how well this has worked for me. But I'm certainly not making any promises to you. Now, here's what that does. You can come back to me, Sass, if you want. Here's what that does, right? To the person who is lazy and wants to get rich quick and is looking for yet another magic pill, right, that doesn't exist, they're going to be like, I don't like this. But guess what? I can't help that guy anyway. So I don't care about that person. But for the real person who I actually want as a customer, you know how everybody's jaded? Everyone's been abused, basically? I'm like the only person going, hey, man, look, I'm not going to tell you this doesn't take work, right? I'm not going to tell you you're going to get rich quick overnight. Yeah, I'm going to show you what I've done, but I don't know you. I'm not going to insult your freaking intelligence. Guess who does that? Nobody. So when you polarize like that, the people who want to get rich quick, who don't want to do any work, who want to sort of fake it, they're going to be turned off. Well, they're not my customers anyway. But the ones who are real, now they're more magnetized to me. Does that make sense? So we've accomplished all of that, by the way, with 2 slides. Okay, so it's not like we're having to invent this whole thing. We just need to do these steps in advance to set the framework of everything else so that when we deliver our message, it's going to be more likely to be received well. Does that make sense? Otherwise, they're going to have the shields up, and you're not going to be able to help them as much because their mind's going to be thinking, well, what about this? What about this objection? And they're going to focus more on the objections than the actual things that you can do to help them. Okay, so next phase of this, all right, is where we really start to bond with them. Now, a lot of webinars make everything about the bond, right? So let me define the bond. You got 2 things that it could be. Thing number 1, a bond can be a story, right? And during our training today, I'm going to give you a lot of training, not today actually, but during this course, I'm going to give you a lot of things about story and sales. I'm going to show you a framework for how to use story and sales and videos. It's amazing. Okay, and I might show a little bit during this presentation here. This is kind of a bigger picture, right? But our first thing is a story. And some people are really, really comfortable with stories. They got an amazing story, right? They're like, oh my gosh, dude, I can't wait to tell this story. I was struggling. Everything was horrible. I found this one thing. I tried it. It didn't work right. I kept trying it, and I made some mistakes, and I figured something out. And next thing you know, blam, I want to share that story with everybody. Some people are like, no, dude, this is just kind of how you do it. I don't have that. So the other thing, if you don't have story, is evidence, okay? So you have two ways to bond with them. Story or evidence, okay? So the framework for a story is this. Number one, I had a dream. You can show me, Sass, if you want to. Number one, I had a dream, right? I don't know, if you're anything like me, you've always wanted to be successful. That's the opening of a story. I had a dream. When I was a kid, I used to look at the people in the nice cars and the nice clothes. They could do anything they wanted. They were always going on vacation. I'd open up magazines, and these people, they're having the greatest time in the world. And man, I said to myself, one day that's going to be me. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do that because I know I can, right? That's that first portion. I had a dream. That's the first portion of that story. The next phase of this, I know I'm going kind of quickly with the story part, but we'll dive into it a little deeper when I give you the templates and frameworks here. The next phase of this is I had a struggle, right? So a story is rarely, man, I wanted to be successful like these people, and so what? You know what? I did. Yay! Right? It never happens, right? The success is almost always preceded by horrible, abysmal failure, right? So your struggle is going to be the story of struggle, how you went through trials and tribulations on your path to trying to achieve the results, right? So you say, and you know what? I don't know if you're anything like me, but I used to read those business opportunity magazines and all that stuff they had in the supermarket, and I'd see those ads, and it would show those big long ads, and it would show the person said, I made $3,000 a day doing this with this weird system, and I would buy that thing. And then friends of mine turned me on to multi-level marketing, and I would join these companies. And then I learned about this other thing, and I would try to do this. And some of it works and some of it didn't, but it just never seemed to really click for me. And sooner rather than later, I realized I'd spent all my money buying these things, and I tried them, and I just couldn't get them to work. And next thing you know, I found myself in debt, and then I lost my job. And then not only do I not have any income, but now I don't have a job, and man, my whole family's looking at me, and they're thinking, you idiot. You've got people to support. You've got kids. You've got people who depend on you, and you've been out messing around buying all this get-rich-quick stuff. I told you it wouldn't work. And you didn't listen, and now look at you. Right, that's block right there. Hey, some of that might sound familiar. I've been through that personally. That's why I was able to tell that story so well. Right, a lot of us have. Right, but that little block there would be the story, the struggle block of the story. And so every time, right, now you emerge from that with the I had a discovery. And usually there's going to be a moment of decision in there. So typically the story is going to sound something like this. And by the way, this needs to be true. Don't just make stuff up. I'm just giving you a framework. So don't go make a webinar and quote me exactly on this. I'm literally just giving you sort of an example framework here. All right? I'll give you a more detailed framework when we get to that point of it. Now I don't want to leave you hanging. I want to tell you how to do it. Okay? So the next phase of this, right before I have a discovery, is typically going to be I made a decision. Right? So it could be, and I'm there, and I'm standing, and I'm alone. My wife and children had gone to bed, and I put on the best happy face I could for them during dinner, but once they were all asleep, I just sat down at the table and put my head in my hands. I didn't know what to do because my elbows were resting on a pile of bills, and that pile of bills said past due. And one of them said, we're going to cut your power off. And I was there. And it dawned on me that because of what I'd been doing and my lack of commitment and my lack of focus, that my kids were going to try to watch cartoons in the morning in 2 days and the TV wasn't going to work. That the house is going to end up being 100 degrees in there because there's going to be no air conditioning. Right? And then I realized that they're not going to be able to go to school because I can't put gas in the car. And that's when I made a decision. And I made the decision that, you know what? I'm not going to live like this anymore. Right? So you need to have that moment of decision, and that's typically what leads to a discovery. Again, this really needs to be true. So if you don't have this, guess what? There's evidence. I'll teach you the evidence method in a minute, okay? But this is usually the framework for the story. So now the part is I made a discovery. And that's when I decided, so I'm going back now into just sort of loosely off the top of my head scripting this, and it was in that moment of decision that I decided, you know what? I'm not going to pay attention to any of this get-rich-quick stuff anymore, ever again. I know that people have been incredibly successful building real businesses, and they did it through hard work, and they didn't try to cheat the system, and they've written books on it. And I went and I found those books, and I found books by men like David Ogilvy, and I found books and materials by men like Gary Halbert, And I read things by Claude Hopkins, who was the father of modern advertising. And as I was reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. And while everyone else is out there trying to sell this invisible air stuff, what would happen if I just took their principles and applied them to modern day marketing and tried to market my business that way? And that's when I made the discovery that if you take old methods and apply them to today, it actually works better today than it did when they were first invented. Now, actually, all of this is true in terms of my making that personal discovery. But again, I'm giving this as an example. So now you made a discovery, right? And then now your part is here's life now. So now you say, and fast forward to today, I've got more customers than I can handle. We go on vacation wherever we want to. I haven't looked at a menu price in 10 years. I have no idea how much our car payments are because for all I know, we wrote checks for them. I don't even have to handle that kind of stuff. Like, whatever it is, here's life now. What doing this does is it opens the audience mind up to be receptive to the next part of this, which is you're actually delivering them the content. So when you say, I made a discovery and I discovered this stuff, your content is you teaching them some of the stuff you discovered. Okay, now, what if you don't have a story, right? What if you're just boring? You're not going to be boring. You know I'm kidding, all right? But hey, what if you don't have a discoveries thing? What if there's no story or you're uncomfortable doing that or whatever? Well, the alternate side to that equation is to use evidence-based thing. So I did that when I sell consulting. Right? So I have a consulting class. Obviously, I do. It goes along with this book right here. Right? So here's the book. Right? So if they buy this book, they'll ultimately see a webinar that sells my client acquisition system. Okay? Well, in this webinar, there is no story because I don't really have a dramatic story for how I got into consulting. I mean, what am I going to say? Yeah, back in 1999, I started selling things on the internet. It was pretty hard at first, but then I got really good at it and I made a crap ton of money. And then I was like, man, I've really always admired marketing consultants. I kind of want to see what it's like to be one. And I wrote a letter and it worked. And then I kept doing it. Next thing you know, I got all these clients and life is amazing. Like, that's not a very compelling story, right? I don't have any drama. So I was like, well, I don't want to make anything up. Instead, I'm going to use evidence. So in this case, what you can do is you can gather a lot of evidence that demonstrate and prove that what you're saying is possible, actually is possible. So the point that I try to make in my webinar that sells my client acquisition system is that, hey, consulting is no joke. Consulting is a huge industry, and it's projected to grow. When everything else is kind of going to hell in a handbasket, we're one of the only industries that are going. And so this stat I have here on the screen is actually from the U.S. Department of Labor Statistics, I think. And this is incredible, right? It's supposedly growing by 80% by next year. That's crazy, right? 83%. That's awesome, So you can also give evidence and say, and here's all the facts of the research I've done. I'm going to give you an example of that, by the way, tomorrow when I present. I'm going to give you a real webinar tomorrow. So I'm sort of almost telling you how I'm about to do something in one of the trainings I can give you tomorrow, right? So now the next phase is going to be the payoff. Right? And this is really why they're here. Okay? So the payoff is critical. All right? Let's see here. I want to make sure I got my slides in order. Do you have your slides in order there, Kern? Let's see. Something. Do I have them in order, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, okay. This is the part they can edit out of the finished product. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, let's get over there. Guys, it took forever to make it where the stuff would appear like that on the screen. Okay, so now we have the payoff. So here's the thing about the payoff, right? Remember when I showed you the escape and arrival framework? And remember I was like, look, you don't have to make your book about the 7 million things they have to do to get from frowny face to happy face. You just have to make your book about like 2 or 3 of the things you're really, really good at. That's what I mean. So when you outline that, that's where this goes, right? And you want it to be immediately actionable information, okay? And you want it to be immediately actionable information for 2 reasons. You can come to me, Sass, if you want to, all right? Number 1, when you build this webinar, it's going to go into a book. Now, guess what? If you sell somebody a book, even if it's only $5, and they read it and they're like, theoretically, this sounds pretty good, but I don't really know what, then they're never going to want to buy anything from you again. Remember the focus of the book? What it needs to create? It needs to create a buyer with what? 2 things, remember? What were they? Confidence and capabilities. We're not going to be able to give them that unless we make it immediately actionable information, right? They got to be able to take it, whether it's from the webinar or the transcription that's turned into a book. They got to be able to leave that experience going, man, I can do that. That's great. You want to give them confidence and capability because that'll fuel the buying, right? They'll be more receptive to buying, and plus it's a cool thing to do. Well, you don't want to waste anyone's time. You want to help everybody. Hey, here's a novel concept. More people you help, the more money you're going to make, right? Kind of a golden rule there. Kind of an unescapable reality over time. So we might as well embrace that and help as many people as we can. Okay, so here's the payoff. 3 ways we can influence people, right? Only 3 ways possible, okay? Here's why you want to do a good job here. So number 1 is we can talk about how good we are, right? Now, if you go back and you look at most marketing that you personally are exposed to every day, like go through your inbox, right? It's going to be one of these 2. It's going to be, hey, I'm really awesome, right? Look at me. Look how big my house is. Look how many cars I got. Give me some money. Okay, that's one. You've seen it, right? And so you make fun of it and stuff. I mean, it's kind of funny. The other one is going to be to have others talk about how good you are. Go to your inbox right now. Read the latest affiliate promotion you got. It's going to be one of these 2, isn't it? Actually, don't do it right now. We're trying to get some work done. But when we're done, just go look. Go to people whose list you're on and be like, I'll be damned. It's either going to be the guy talking about how amazing he is, or they're trying to pitch someone else's stuff, and they're like, this dude's amazing, right? Guess what? Both of those work. I bet you thought I was going to be like, those are stupid and they never work. No, they work pretty freaking good, right? You know what works better? I'll tell you what works better. The most effective thing ever is to demonstrate how good we are. Look at that, in all caps even. Demonstrate how good you are. I'll tell you something. I mean, let's think about this. If I were to come up to you and say, don't tell anybody this, all right? Be cool about this. But dude, I can fly, right? If I said that to you in that tonality, right? We're in a bar or something. Like imagine we're at a seminar and you're like, dude, Kern, what's up? I'm like, hey man, I got to talk to you. Listen. I can fly. I'm not kidding you, dude. I can totally fly. I mean like Superman. I can freaking fly. Fast, straight, loops and stuff, I can do it. You're going to be like, okay, right? Now some people might believe, like you might be like me. I believe anything. You could tell me anything. I'll be like, that's the damnest thing I've ever heard. Can you know this dude can fly, right? I'm just like that, right? So that's one way I could try to influence you into believing I can fly. Another thing is I can get all my buddies and I could be standing there like this going, yeah. And then, I could get Eben to come up, and Eben could be, I'm going to try to talk like Eben. He enunciates everything. Frank Kern can fly, and the name of my course is Enunciate. You ever notice that about Eben? Everything is enunciated perfectly. And then Walker could be like, yeah, dude, Frank can fly. And then John Reese would come up, well, you seen that dude fly? It's crazy. And then you might be more inclined to be like, shit, man. He seems a little heavy to be able to fly, but maybe it's possible, right? So maybe that's going to work, but what's definitely going to work? What would definitely work to get you to believe that I could fly? If I walk up to you, I'm like, dude, check this out. Come here, let's walk outside. You got to see this. I do it inside, but the ceiling's too big. Ready? Watch this. And I flew. And I'm like flying around. You'd be like, did that just happen? I'd be like, yeah, man, I can fly. Damnedest thing you ever saw. Can you believe that? Right? And you would think that I could fly because I did what? Demonstrate it. Demonstration trumps all. Guess what demonstration requires very little of? Salesmanship. It requires very little arm twisting, right? It requires very little being obnoxious, which makes all of us uncomfortable. It's just like the oldest trick in the book. I always make this joke. I say, here's how we're going to get them. We're going to use the oldest trick in the book. Are you ready? We're going to demonstrate we can help them by actually helping them. That'll teach them, right? Because it works better than anything else, right? And the reason it's better, actions speak louder than words, right? One of the oldest sayings in the world, actions speak louder than words, right? So your real money, ultimately, by the way, the reason you really want to do a good job of this is A, because it's cool and it's going to help you sell more and it's going to have goodwill and you're doing the right thing. But B, let me ask you a question, okay? Let's say this is a webinar right now, and we're on the webinar, and I'm going to sell something. I don't have anything to sell right now, by the way. But let's say that I did, and I'm doing a good job, and we're in rapport, right? I think, like I looked at the comments a little bit, like during our break, and people were really nice. I'm like, oh, this is great. People like this, right? Do you think I could sell, and I can't remember how many people were on, like at the moment that I was looking. It was about, I don't know, a couple thousand or something awesome, right? And so do you think every single person, let's say it's 3,000 people watching, do you think all 3,000 of them would buy? Right? Doesn't matter how good of a job I do. All 3,000 of them just ain't going to buy, right? It's normal for people not to buy. So what do? We follow up. if we don't do a good job in the payoff section, right, our follow-up is pointless. I almost lost that. Did you see that? I was trying to be cool, and I was like, oh, okay. So we're not going to do a good job in the follow-up if we don't actually help them, right? But if they come and they attend a webinar or they read the book, which is the webinar transcribed, and it's actually good, what are they going to be? They're going to be the greatest thing you could have, which is a buyer with confidence and capability, okay? So here's how to do the payoff, all right? First thing you got to understand, this person has given you their single most valuable and irreplaceable asset. It's not their money, it is their time. Like, we're spending time together right now. That's why it's so important to me that you are happy, because you ain't going to get this afternoon back, right? It's not coming back to you. The last 3 seconds we were talking, you're not getting those 3 seconds back, so I want to make sure they were well spent. So because of that, they have to get a payoff for attending. Otherwise, they're never going to trust you again, okay? So to maintain trust and desire, you got to demonstrate you can help them by actually freaking helping them. Crazy concepts. So what I like to do is I just like to teach 3 big things that they need, and they got to be actionable, right? They have to be something they can immediately do, okay? So you can't teach anything really, really crazy. And the biggest thing I can tell you about this is you don't want to bog them down. So in the rare instance, this is embarrassing, but most of my members out-convert me on their webinars, which is like, I'm telling you, we do these live video conferences, like stuff like this, but I actually can bring you on camera for my Inner Circle members. We do them every other Wednesday with me, and I'm reviewing people's stuff. And it's all the time. They're on my web, or they're like bringing up their webinar stuff, and they're like, yeah, dude, I'm doing this webinar. I'm converting at 10%, but I don't know should I scrap it and do another one? I'm like, dude, I converted like 2. Why is everyone doing so much better than me, right? But in the rare time when they don't do better than me, and when they're really struggling, it's because they bog it down right here. So what does that mean? Okay, so what you want is a bog-free payoff. So let's say our webinar is about list building, and we're doing it. We're going to write a book about list building. We want to transcribe the webinar, have it turned into a book about list building. So one of the things we might want to teach them is you have to have a good opt-in page layout, right? That's really important. You're not going to build the dang list if your opt-in page is all screwed up, right? So the right way to do it would be to give them solid fundamentals. You know, you can come to me, Sass, if you want to give them like solid fundamentals. Be like, okay, so here, I know that's not actually on the screen, but here's an example of a really good opt-in page layout. You know, and we say, notice the headline formula says how to X without Y, right? And notice that the button is typically over here, and notice you got a big graphic over here. That's the right layout that you want to have, right? That's really simple. There's no bogging down there. They immediately understand that. They can immediately go and change their opt-in page to look like that and probably get better results. That's what you want. Demonstrate you can help them by actually helping them, right? You could show them examples. Like, here's one web page is working good. Here's another one. Here's another one. Notice they have all these things in common, right? That would work. Now, the wrong way, you can come back to me if you want to, the wrong way would be to be like, okay, so now that we know the proper layout of an opt-in page, what we want to do is we want to understand how HTML coding works, specifically HTML5, for the World Wide Web, in a multi-browser, cross-platform, I can't even say it, cross-platform scenario. So you have multiple types of HTML coding that you could possibly do, and we have these things called div tags and tables, and one of the coding examples that are often used by, and you're like, you know, the person's just like, they're bored out of their mind. You've bogged them down, right? Give them big picture, don't give them minutia. Hey, you won't make any money with minutia, right? We help people with the big picture stuff, okay? So that's the example right there. So your payoff has to be good, right? So all this stuff right here, transcribed and edited, turns into this, right? That's it. So if you do that, then guess what you are? You're gold, Jerry. You got yourself a book. Right? It's perfect. You have yourself an actual book. So if we look, hang on a minute, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I got to tell you, it's a little weird just sitting here drinking camera with all these people, or drinking water on camera, everyone watching. Hang on. Wish there was a cooler way to do that. You know, is there a cool way to drink water? Like, yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about the payoff. So this book right here, all right, this is my consulting book. It's got 3 big things. Shows you how to generate leads, shows you how to have them asking for conversations, shows you how to close those conversations. 3 big things. Not a million, right? Not 700, 3 big things. It's 68 pages. That's it, 68 pages. This one, 3 big things. Magic formula is this: pre-framing, indoctrination, conversion. That's what this teaches you. Pre-framing, indoctrination, conversion. And this one is a little longer. This one is 7 million pages. Did I not put page numbers on there? No, this guy is 75 pages. We went crazy. 68 and 75. You don't have to write a novel, okay? People love these. You know why? Because you can read it in an afternoon. What do you want to, would you rather have the book that's going to take you a week, or the one that you can sit down, understand the concepts, and read in an afternoon? So if your mind is telling you, oh, dude, I got to make this big, hardback, beautiful book that I got to mail to people. It's got to be 300 pages. It's got to be, look like the stuff I get at Barnes & Noble. Nope. Ain't gotta. You can just do exactly what I showed you. Get that thing recorded. Send it to rev.com. They'll transcribe it. Don't look at the transcriptions at all, okay? Last thing you want to do is look at the transcriptions. And then send it to an editor that you meet on Fiverr, right? Just pick one, right? What editor's best? I don't know. Look at the one with the highest ratings. It's not rocket science. They're just editing your stuff. Then take the edited version, mess with it if it needs messing with. Now you got a book. No need to print it. No need to ship it. You can sell it digitally, okay? So since we're here, okay, since we're already here, and we've already kind of built a webinar, right? We might as well kind of finish it and talk about how you could actually sell something on the webinar. Doesn't that make sense? So let's do it, since you're here, okay? So all this stuff, boom, 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 these 5 steps or these 4 steps, that's the part that gets transcribed, all right? So you could stop there and you got yourself a book, but if you really want to do it properly, you might as well build these things. You might as well go ahead and build in a pitch, right? No one's got to see the pitch, but if you build the pitch and the pitch is good, you can now dictate what your main thing can be, what's included in the main thing. And don't worry, we're going to spend a lot of time tomorrow and on Sunday. I'll show you the 5 different product types. On Sunday, I'll show you the 4 big ticket models, how they work and everything. We're going to go over sales copy and stuff. But right now, let's just pretend that you've already agreed that you're going to make a big thing, right? And whatever it is. So if you're already going to make it, might as well try to build a pitch for it just to see what happens. You don't have to show the pitch to anybody, but what do you think that pitch is going to do? Building that pitch is going to do 2 things. If it's good, you're going to be like, damn, I really want to go ahead and get that made because that was awesome. I just nailed that. Let's get this sucker to the market. I can sell the crap out of it, right? And you're going to know what needs to be in the main thing because you just talked about the coolest stuff it's going to help people do. So it's almost like forced product creation in a way. All right, so first thing you want to do is we were in teaching phase. Here, come to me. We were in teaching phase all the way through here. Now we got to get here into selling phase, okay? So now the first thing we got to do is we got to transition from from teaching rather, to sales without being weird, right? Without getting all nervous and being like, okay, so you don't want to buy this, do you? Okay, so it's really, really simple. The way to do this is very, very easy. So you want to, in the transition phase, which is step 5, you want to switch from teaching to selling, and you want to do it without being or feeling awkward. Okay, so what I like to do, here's exactly what to say. Let's say you just taught your 3 big things, right? And it was awesome, and you helped people. And you're like, man, that was killer. I really help people with this. This is great. Now you can say, so if you found this helpful, you'll really like my new program called How to Do More of This Stuff, right? Really simple. That's one way to do it. And the most effective way I could teach you, just transition right into it. You don't have to be weird about it and beat around, well, I don't like selling stuff, and if you really want to, and maybe you could just say, hey, I really hope you enjoyed that. These are 3 big things that really made a major difference in my life. And you know what? If you found that helpful, I really think you're going to like my brand new secret or my brand new program called Buy More Stuff Secrets, right? And that's it. And now what we do in the next is we go into the offer. And this is a big one, all right? So get on the screen there for a minute because I need to look at this stuff while I read it off to you so I can make sure I got it all in the right order. But the offer, a good pitch, follows a very solid structure. I'm going to do one for you tomorrow, and then I'm going to sort of dissect it for you as well. So the first thing we want to do is something called the triple fact confirmation. And this kind of comes, you can come back to me if you want to, this kind of comes from NLP, so they say. I don't actually know NLP. All right, so the triple fact confirmation sounds like this. First, we do the transition, right? So anyway, that's how I got the really big result, and it was really, really cool. And hey, if you found that to be helpful, I think you're really going to love my new products called Buy More Stuff Secrets. All right, so we transition. Now we're going to do step 1, the triple fact confirmation. It sounds like this. You go, and you know what? You registered for this webinar and you're here right now, and you know that if you really apply this stuff, you can see incredible results in your life, right? Now, the first two things I said were fact, right? And apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, it just sounds good, right? Like I said, I don't know NLP, but it sounds pretty good. And the saying goes, if you say two things that are readily accepted by the mind as a fact, the third thing is more readily accepted by the mind as a fact. So the third statement, apparently this is the third statement, the third statement that I made, well, let's go through them. You registered, fact. You're here right now, fact. And you know that if you apply this stuff, you can have really significant changes in your life. Opinion, right? But I just use the triple fact method. So that's step number one, right? We're setting it up. Step number two is you say the reason why intro, right? And that's why you're going to want. So if I just said, and you know that if you apply this stuff, you can really see dramatic changes in your life. Now I'm segmenting it as step number two, and that's why you're going to want, so literally, it was a sentence, right? And that's why you're going to want my new product, right? So, and that's why you're going to want the buy more stuff system. So now we start going into big benefits. So if you want to, let's say I'm selling the consulting product, right? So if you want to learn how to attract customers into your consulting practice, right? And I'm going to list all the benefits now. If you want to learn how to attract customers into your consulting practice, if you want to learn how to generate leads, if you want to learn how to only talk to people who know who you are, know how much you charge, and have jumped through hoops to talk to you, if you want to know how to have a selling process that's not high pressure, that's really friendly, that helps everybody no matter what, and if you want to know how to tie all of this together into an elegant system that can give you dependable and consistent results, then this is just for you. So what I just did right there was step 3. Does that show up for y'all? Yeah. So step 3 was if you want, and I listed the main benefits of the thing I'm selling, right? Leads, jumping through hoops to talk to you, know what you sell, easy conversion process. If you want X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, then this is just for you. So I'll go through it again. Hey, you know what? You registered for this webinar, you're here right now, and you know that if you implement this stuff, you can see really significant changes in your life. And that's why you're going to want my Super System 2000. Look, you know, if you want to learn how to benefit 1, benefit 2, benefit 3, benefit 4, benefit 5, however many, then this is specifically just for you. So now we're all the way up to step number 4. We're just building into the offer here. Okay, we're building into the offer. Now, the next step is going to be the walkthrough, right? So in this step, let's see if I have examples. Nope, I don't. So, oh, hang on, sorry, y'all. Bing. This step is going to be the walkthrough. So you say, now here, come back to me. Oh yeah, thank you. So this is just for you. So what you're getting is, and now you actually walk them through the product. So let's say it was my client acquisition system, right? Which is actually awesome. Some of you guys might have it. If you do, let me know you like it. I always like to know I help people, right? So you would say, yeah, so this is just for you. So here's what you're going to get in the client acquisition system. In week number 1, we're going to identify the perfect model for you. We're going to actually figure out the best schedule, and we're going to figure out how to manage everybody. In the second week, we're going to find out who the people are that are most likely to pay you what it is that you want, and we're going to learn how to cut out tire kickers and people you have to chase from your life forever. In week number 3, we're actually going to find the most attractive bribe we can give to them in order to get them to raise their hand and say to you, hey, listen, I need help. In week number 4, you're going to learn the exact scripting and the exact system to have these people asking you to talk to them, knowing full well who you are and what you charge and how you do it. And finally, we're going to show you exactly what to say to those people once you are on the phone with them that'll turn them into paying clients without you feeling like a sketchy salesperson, right? So notice I just did the walk through there, okay? Telling them really here are the benefits. I did it kind of quickly, right? Because I'm not trying to pitch you this thing right now, but that's really how you go about doing it, okay? So that's step number 5, all right? We're doing pretty good on time too. How do you like them apples? All right, so that's step number 5. The next thing we want to do is we want to value build and give the retail price. Now let's see how I do this, what examples I have here. Yeah, cool. All right, so in this case, where's my play button? There it is. All right. Bing, bing, bing. So let me show you how I do it, okay? So I think we should probably stick it, I don't think they can really see that well, so let's do, yeah, on the screen there. So notice these are actual slides. So I would say now I'm value building this little thing over here. Oh, look, you can see my mouse. Awesome. So this little thing over here, I'm saying, hey, look, you know, a typical modulated classes like this, the last one I sold was Magic model, it was $10,000. I recently did a 3-day workshop with a couple people, and that was $8,000 per head. I've had a group coaching program that's $3,860 per month. If we were to take that throughout the time of this program, that'd be $15,440. The total value of this thing, based just on what other people have paid for similar things in the past X amount of time, is $33,440. Right? So I'm building the value there. And now what we want to do is we want to do something called a value drop. Now here's the deal. Don't make this up. Okay? Don't be lying. Don't be saying, yeah, this sells for XYZ and you've never sold it before. Just say, hey, other people sell stuff like this for this amount of money. Right? And if no one ever sells anything like that and you don't have an actual value build, you could say, listen, frankly, I've never sold this thing before and I'm not sure I ever will again. This could potentially be a very limited offer, but you know what? What would it be worth to you if you got 10 new clients in your practice just by focusing on the people who are most likely to pay you? Well, if your average client is worth $2 and you got 10 of them, that would be $20,000 in value right there. You could also do it that way. Point being, please don't make stuff up. So our next phase here is we want to give a retail price because this is going to allow us to do a further price drop. So I can say something like, but I'm not going to charge you $33,440 today. Instead, if you enroll today during our time together, you can have it for 3 payments of $3,800. Or, now notice if you do the math here, 3 payments of $3,800 is $10,000, so $11,400, is that right? No math involved in this. I'm trying to do math publicly in my head. As you know, math is not an exact science. So I say, or you can save $3,000 and make 1 payment of $8,400. That's a decoy price. And I say, but I want to do one better for you. Instead, what I'd like to allow you to do is save $3,000 off of that initial price and make just 3 payments of $2,800, or save $5,000 off that initial price in total and make just 1 payment of $6,400. Right? So we're dropping the price. So you build the value here. You get them like, oh man, that's a lot, but it's cheaper than $33,000 over here. And then you say, but you know what? You can have it for an even better deal here. So that is a value build example and price drop from an actual pitch that I've done in the past. Hang on, I got to get some water here. I think I should talk more in real life so I could do these things without losing my voice. Okay, so that was that. So we did the price drop. So our next step is going to be risk reversal, right? So it's really hard to sell something without a guarantee. So you really, really, really want to have a guarantee in that. And guarantee is pretty simple, right? So one of the ones I like to do is like, hey, listen, I don't know. I'm not psychic. I don't know if you're going to take this class and your life is going to change. I think it will. I think if you implement all of these things, you're going to be thrilled. But listen, rather than trying to convince you of that and pretend that I'm a mind reader, which I'm not, how about I do one really better for you? Why don't you go through this entire class, kick all the tires, download everything, put it to work, go out and get some clients. See what happens. And if you haven't earned what you wanted to earn, or if it wasn't fun, or if you didn't like it, or for no reason whatsoever, at the end of the class, just let me know. I'll give you a full refund, and guess what? You don't even have to send anything back. How's that for fair? So that's risk reversal, right? That's a really solid risk reversal offer, and guess what? If you're selling something digitally downloadable, it's not like they have to send anything back anyway, so you might as well make a big deal out of it and let them know. It's not like you got to send anything back. What, am I going to lobotomize you? You know what I mean? Although that would be kind of funny if you were like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to remove this knowledge from your mind now. Pretty good. So what kind of marketers would we be if we didn't have a bonus? We'd be terrible marketers. That's marketing 101. So after you do the risk reversal, now you want to offer a bonus. You want to say, but you know what? If that is not enough, if this discount and me being willing just to let you have it for nothing if it doesn't work for you, or if you're not happy for any reason or no reason whatsoever, if that's not enough to push you over the edge right now, I want to do one more thing for you that'll be really special. I decided to give you this bonus, and your bonus should always be very, very valuable. Ideally, the bonus is going to be as valuable or more than the thing that you're selling in the first place. Now, you don't have to have one, right? You can do it without a bonus. I've done it without a bonus, but which is going to work better? Bonus, no bonus, right? Now, no bonus is better than nothing at all, okay? So I can guarantee you're going to make more doing something than if you do nothing, but if you can, add a bonus, right? Step number 10 is simply to recap, right? So you just position your bonus. And so now you're like, okay, so to recap, here's everything you're getting today. Number one, you're getting the Super Duper System 2000. Here's what we're going to do. Week number one, we're going to do this. Week number two, we're going to do this. Week number three, we're going to do this. This is going to be absolutely amazing, right? And by the way, similar things are sold for $34,000. I'm not going to charge you $34,000. If you order it today, you're going to get this ridiculous discount of 87% off or whatever. You can have it right now for $6,400. Okay, so you do that. And then you say, and by the way, like I told you, if you don't think it's the greatest thing ever, let me know. I'll send you back all your money. You can keep it anyway. Look, I don't want, just keep it. Who knows? Maybe you'll revisit it. Maybe you'll get better results down the road. If you're happy, I'm happy. I just want you to be successful. Okay? And then, by the way, if you take advantage of this during the special presentation, you're also going to get this bonus. Okay? Now, I've already said that stuff before, but you got to recap, right? You have to recap. So even the stuff that we pay for, we don't retain, right? So you got to tell them over and over again what they're getting. All right, so now we're going to recap. And by the way, when you order during the special promotion, you can also have this bonus. This bonus sells for X billion dollars. Here's what you're going to get in the bonus. Should you try to really hard to build the value of the thing in the bonus? Yes or no? I mean, it's a bonus. It's free, right? I mean, if it's free, why do you have to tell them how great it is? Because, dude, you always have to try, right? You got to sell everything. Okay, everything, you got to build the value in every single thing. So yes, build the value in the bonus. So by the way, this bonus is worth, whatever it's worth, and here's what it's going to do for you, and really tell them how that bonus is going to help them. You don't want to make them want to buy that freaking bonus, right? So now you've recapped everything, okay? And finally, here's an example of it, but I just walked you through an example, so I don't need to be redundant. Okay, so the next thing we want to have in this equation is scarcity. All right? If you can do it legitimately, don't make up the damn scarcity, right? Don't say it's never going to be available again. And they're like, it's available tomorrow, right? Now, you can say it's never going to be available again if you use automation and you set cookies and you make it where that particular viewer can't get access to it again. Then I think you're okay. But don't do the thing where the timer resets every day and it's, come on. Don't give us a black eye. Nobody likes marketers anyway, all right? So we don't want to contribute to that. We want to show the world a better side of our community, okay? But you do want to use scarcity. So typically, if you're doing it during a limited promotion, say, listen, obviously this is an incredible example. There's no way I'm going to make this available forever. This is available only to you right now because you're in this promotion. And when the promotion's over, this is gone, okay? This is it. So I'm not going to do this for every single person. That's one reason. That's simply a promotion-based. Another one is it could be user-based, right? So I'll do this a lot of times if I'm taking something where I'm actually working with people live. I'll say, look, this class is limited to 200 people, and I'd love to take more, but I'm talking to you guys every Thursday at 10. I'm answering your questions. If I take more than 200 people in there, I'm not going to be able to do a good job. There's going to be a billion questions. You're going to be frustrated. So it's limited. So you can either get in now or you could potentially miss it. That's another way to do it. Another way to do it is time bonus. So I can say, hey, listen, the class, you're selling a class or whatever, hey, the class starts on Monday the 97th, right? That's a real date. And registration is closing because we're starting, right? That's another way to do it. But your scarcity should be legit. In fact, as MC Hammer once wisely said, it should be too legit to quit. It should be, I like saying that with a straight face, it should be an unquittable level of legitimacy. And finally, now your next step is to give them a very clear call to action, which is, here's what I want you to do next. Now, during everything that we've said, all the way from step number 1 until now, you should have like your add to cart button. It should be showing, right? So they need to be able to see that thing. So they already have the order button up in your webinar or whatever, or if you're doing it on GoToWebinar Live or something, you got your, hey, go to buymystuff.com and you got the little picture or your web address is written there in the slides. But still, tell them what to do anyway. That's step number 12. So here's what I want you to do right now. You should see a button that says buy this thing right now. Click on that button. The first thing it's going to do is going to ask you for your email address and your contact info. That's so we can send you your username and password. Okay, once you click that, you're going to be taken to the payment page. Okay, I want you to enter your payment details. Immediately after seeing that, here's the 3 things that's going to happen. You're going to get an email from us. You're going to get access to the members area. Gold bullion is going to fall from the sky. I probably wouldn't say that. That's obviously a joke, right? But literally walk them through exactly what you want them to do right now, because we need to be told exactly what to do. And if you do all of these things, I know I went through it really, really quickly, but hey, might as well give you the best I can, right? So if you do all of these things, you've just made a really, really rock solid pitch. But if you do, hang on. If you do this, right, without this, you're screwed, right? Giving people immediately actionable information and helping them in advance facilitates this. you can screw this up. And if you do a good enough job here by actually demonstrating you can help them, by actually helping them, God forbid, novel concept, right? Then this is going to be relatively simple for you to do because they already like you, right? The results speak for themselves. Like the metaphor I like to use is what this book is meant to be. Now, by the way, everything we just did, right? You transcribe this thing, you get it edited, and if you leave that offer part in there, now you got a book that makes a sale. Now, I actually don't have that in my books because I built the content part before really building the offer part in a lot of cases. So a lot of these things were built prior to the offer being finalized, right? So I don't have sales letters in my book, but by all means, if you go ahead and record it and your pitch is good, put the dang pitch in the back of the book. Do you know how many people have bought these and come up to me at events and been like, okay, dude, something's wrong with my book. Okay, so I get here and I'm on page 75, all right, and they say, dude, I'm on page 75, and it says, I've given you the roadmap and blueprints to do this. Now the ball's in your court. Get out there and get to work. Do good things. Help people follow those steps, and you can't lose. And then there's nothing else, and there's no sales letter. So you might want to call your printer. And I'm like, oh no, dude, I didn't have the thing I just did it wrong, right? So, I mean, put the freaking offer in the book if you can, right? Now, don't let lack of the offer get in your way of creating the book by any means, because, hey, look, neither of these have the offer in them. Doing real good, no problems, right? But you're going to want to go ahead and do that. So, if you follow this framework, you can build a hideous webinar, doesn't matter, you, dark room, nobody's watching, you just record yourself going through these steps right here, you transcribe that, have it edited, you got yourself a book, right? Think about this pitch while the book's being edited, then go ahead and build a webinar that sells your main thing or some kind of funnel that sells your main thing, and you'll be gold, right? And look at that. The timing is unbelievably perfect. This concludes this section of today's training, and I think, if you're still in here. Tyler, we have any questions? I'll take a couple questions or something if people are still on. Because y'all can't hear him, but he's going to read them to me, and then I'll repeat them. We're that high class over here. Yeah. Dude, it doesn't matter. Well, you don't want to have like 10 minutes. I've had them 3 hours. Actually, the pitch. Oh, you're insinuating that they're not psychic, and y'all were unable to hear him because he's not mic'd up. Oh, I see. Aren't you fancy? Okay. The question was, how long should the webinar typically be? Sorry. Dude, make it, ideally, make this part, around an hour to 45 minutes, and then your pitch part can be forever, right? As long as you're actually providing value and doing a good job in the pitch, it doesn't matter. You just want to make sure this is good. But you should have this, steps 1 through 4, be about 45 minutes to an hour. I have had them be around 3 hours long. So a lot of mine will go on forever. And I overdo it. Every time I overdo it in the payoff. So my webinars don't convert as well, but again, I don't care, right? A webinar to me isn't to make a sale. A sale is a very good byproduct of a webinar. But what a webinar really is for me is to demonstrate value, get a couple of sales to make it worth doing, but then I know in the follow-up, the people that attended that thing, if I do them right, over the next couple of days, they're going to buy even more. Okay, let's see. Oh, now he's coming. He's coming in. Y'all be cool. Tyler's coming in. The virality of the book? Okay, so the question is, does having a sales letter in the back of the book make the book less shareable? Will the virality of the book go down? My answer is, I don't care. This book is for sale. If someone wants to pass the book around 10 million times to people, it doesn't bother me, but nor if nobody ever passed this book around, nor would I care. The sole purpose of this book is to turn a buyer in need into a buyer with confidence and capability. It does that. If I put a sales letter at the end of it, that sales letter is not going to now remove that confidence and capability from the buyer. So, no, I don't think it would hurt. And if it did hurt the shareability and virus, I wouldn't care, right? Because it doesn't matter to me because that's not why I write books. I write books to get buyers and help those buyers and turn them into buyers with confidence and capabilities so I can continue to help them. Oh, man, almost always VSL. Yeah. Oh, dude, again, I forgot to read the question. Okay, or to answer the question. So he said, the question was, if you're making a pitch, like a one-click upsell pitch or whatever, or maybe even a pitch for the book, what's better, a VSL or straight to camera? VSL is like when you're using PowerPoint or whatever, and straight to camera is me talking to you. Almost always it's going to be PowerPoint and stuff. I've actually not really split tested this in all honesty, but I did in the last big launch I did, which was almost 3 years ago, because I'm not really that big into launches. I prefer assets that create money. What I did was I did a little test, and the first video was like high production. It was awesome. It was the one where I got the BMW and the rolls and they're side by side and all that kind of stuff. And then the other videos where I'd be on camera for like a second to introduce it, and then it's all screen cam. Spent a ton making the first one all fancy. Guess which one's got the most viewership? Like engagement, meaning guess which ones people watch the most of? Yes, the ones that was just PowerPoint. But that's great for me because you don't have to make yourself look fancy. You don't have to come to a studio. You can just sit there on your computer and yap into the microphone, right? Yes, the book is the same content as the webinar. Yep. Now you can go back, right, and make your pitch webinar different. So what I just told you to do is to build a webinar that really the focus of that webinar. I showed you this just because, hey, while we're making a webinar, I might as well show you how to make an awesome webinar, right? It would be remiss of me to be like, okay, I'm not going to show you these other two parts, right? I'm just going to be a butthole, right? So no, I wanted to show you everything I could. But that first pass at it is to get the content of your book out of your head into a usable format so you can turn it into a book. Otherwise, you're going to be like this, staring at the dreaded blank page, right? That's what the dreaded blank piece of orange construction paper going, chapter 1. Oh, this is taking forever, right? So typically, what you're going to do is you're going to build the one that really gets, the main focus is this, these 4 steps right here. You're going to get that transcribed, edited, turned into a book, and most people who don't know what the main thing is yet, they're going to kind of be stewing on what the main thing is, and then they'll go and they'll record the pitch webinar later, okay? But in the event that you nail it the first time, nothing wrong with at all with the book being a direct transcript of the webinar. So a ton of this is in the webinar, right? The only thing missing from my webinar in this book is the pitch. This book just doesn't have the pitch, but it is freaking dang near verbatim what's in my webinar for client acquisition. And webinar for client acquisition is very, very good. It's very, very helpful, as is this book. So that kind of circles back to the point. It's all about taking someone from buyer in need to buyer with capabilities and confidence. And notice it's not just buyer with confidence. It's buyer with capabilities and confidence. So that's why this sucker right here, it's got to deliver, man. It has to be really freaking good in terms of what you're telling them to do, right? That's it. So if you get it on the webinar, get it recorded, transcribed, edited, you got yourself a really, really good book.
Right. You got some people who have books in other spaces like pull them off those platforms and sell them digitally as you described?
I would if your mission is to have a book funnel. Oh, thank you. I keep forgetting to do it. I'm so sorry. So the question was, I don't know why, I just assume you guys can hear what Tyler says with no mic. If we have a mic, if it would be easy to mic him up, let's do it. If it's a pain in the ass, we won't. And you can just be off camera if you want to. You can be like the disembodied voice, you know? Like, yeah, that'll be like a phantom, like, does he exist? So the question was, if you got a book on CreateSpace or Amazon or something like that, should you pull it off of there and sell it digitally? I don't think you have to pull it off of there, but you should definitely sell it using a book funnel. You can do it digitally. You can do free plus shipping. You can sell it whatever you want to sell it for. But it's going to be hard to do it in the book funnel context if the orders are being processed through a third party like CreateSpace or whatever, because you won't be able to do the one-click upsells. Amazon, I don't think you get the customer data, so you can't follow up with them, etc. So if it's working over there, don't take it off, but augment it. For example, our man Dean Graziosi with Millionaire Success Habits, you can go buy that on Amazon all day. Right? You can also buy it from his book funnel all day. He sells about 250 of them a day through his book funnel, profitably. Wonder where they got the funnel structure from. I know this, right? He's a good friend of mine. Walked him through it. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just add to it, right? So are you mic'd? Do I need to read that again? Okay, are these strategies exclusive to self-help industries, or can you apply them to other industries? So, can they see this again, Sass? The thing? The whiteboard? I'm going to revisit this back. Okay? All right. Okay. Earlier we were like, what can you ultimately sell with a book funnel? Okay? Classes and courses, right? Clearly. I do it with marketing, right? Brendan does it with self-help. Dean does it with self-help. Russell Brunson did it with marketing. Jeff Walker did it with marketing. Tony Robbins did it with finance. Okay, so we got that. You can sell services. Pete Egoscue did it with come into a clinic and lay around on the ground and get all weird and contorted, but miraculously, your back doesn't hurt anymore. Now he's got 21 locations. He didn't even have a book funnel. He just had a book, and it kind of worked. That's kind of rare, by the way. You want to actually engineer it. Joe Polish, right? No self-help going on over there. You know I love you, Joe, but I am going to mess with you. You ain't going to get any self-help with my main man, Joe Polish. All right, so his book ultimately leads to a $25,000 mastermind. My man, Lawrence Bensdorp, right? His book goes straight into coaching for learning how to trade stocks and stuff. Body for Life, which was Bill Phillips, sold consumables. All right, so they buy the book. The book is like, hey, you need to make all these shakes and stuff. Use this Myoplex thing. All right, ended up selling EAS for a couple $100 million, I think. Don't quote me on that. It was hearsay, but a lot. Enough to where he was like, yay, that's really cool, right? Of course, continuity is what my main thing is, right? So I have the current inner circle, which is great. You can use it to sell consulting. So really just about anything it can be used for. You don't have to pigeonhole it. My buddy Matt Zagula, a client member as well in the inner circle, financial services, right? Ain't no self-help going on with Zagula either. He's a friend of mine as well. I can tell you that right now. He is far from the self-help space. So book funnels work. I'm not comfortable saying they work universally. I mean, surely there's somewhere where it wouldn't be appropriate. I just haven't seen one yet, a market where it wouldn't be appropriate. And by appropriate, I mean it wouldn't be helpful, right?
Dan asks, do you use the webinar to sell the main thing or the Slack adjuster, or a webinar for both?
Are you mic'd?
Yes.
Tyler's mic'd. The disembodied voice of Tyler Durden Dorsey. Okay, so when I started, all right, with my first book funnel, my client acquisition system was really my main thing, right? And so I really didn't have anything else. Since then, I built the Current Inner Circle, which is a continuity program, which is awesome. There's probably a lot of members watching it. So if y'all are here, say hey. Tell everyone that you like it, assuming you do. Can't imagine why you would be here if you didn't, really. So please tell everyone how much you enjoy it. So it could be both, right? You could also not have a webinar at all, right? This thing that I just showed you, there we go. This guy right here, you don't actually have to present the webinar to people if you don't want to. The first function of this webinar, the first function of this webinar is to get it out of here, recorded, transcribed, turned into a book. So if you never want to even use the webinar, it doesn't matter. My man Lawrence, who sells the stock coaching stuff, no webinar at all, right? It is book, and then, hey, if you want me to help you learn how to do all this stuff and really help you implement what you learned in the book, we can talk, I can do it. Boom, client's $3,200. That's it, that's its entire funnel. Right? It's Zagula in financial services. No webinar whatsoever. Right? Zero. It is book. Would you like me to help you with your estate planning? Boom. Right into it. Me? Love webinar. Okay? Crazy about a webinar. I got one. It's really good. Brendan, I don't think he has a webinar. I think he goes book, one-click upsells, video sequence for an automated launch. Right? Dean's got a webinar. Don't think Walker did. Can't remember. Right? Joe doesn't have a webinar. Joe Polish doesn't have a webinar. So you don't have to use it. You got to understand the webinar's dual purpose. It can get book material out of your head, out of your mouth, recorded. Now it's a book, and it can sell things. But the two are not mutually exclusive. Okay.
All righty. Greg Curtis wants to know, do you prepare for webinar with the dress rehearsal, or do you just launch it warts and all?
No, I just launch it words and all. Yeah. And dude, so here's the thing. Okay, so you've seen us. We've screwed up during this thing, right? And I'm like, all right, which one am I looking at and stuff? And I was going through the comments with Tyler, and I'm like, and Andrew's like, oh, dude, we messed up with the mic wasn't on. I'm like, I think people actually enjoy it when it's more real anyway. And the comments actually confirmed that. So as long as you're relaxed in doing it and you're not freaking yourself out and you're not stiff and you're just being nice and helping people, you can screw up on the webinar a million times. I mean, I screwed up trying to show you the coolest part. I was like, I can't wait to show them what yesterday's numbers and this morning's numbers were. And then I forgot to build one of the slides this morning. It was at 6:30 in the morning. Then I got them out of order and I'm having to be like, wait, where the hell was the slide? Didn't matter. You guys still had a good time, right? So if you want to do a dress rehearsal, do it. But just do it, okay? Just get one done. And especially if the only purpose of the webinar is to make the book, because you can screw up in the book all the time, in the webinar and the transcripts, and your editor is going to cut that out. Remember the golden rule. Make webinar, record it, get it transcribed, never look at the transcriptions, okay? This is you. When they send you the transcriptions, you're like, you go to your friend, you go, dude, would you forward these transcriptions to the editor? I don't want to see them. Because if you see them, you're going to be like, what in the mother of all that is holy is this crap? Because it's all these run-on sentences and the grammar's going to look weird and you're going to be like, oh, this sucks, don't use it. But then if you send it to an editor and you get back what the editor sends you, which again is someone on Fiverr for like $100, seriously, I mean, I'd love to make it sound like there's some magical process for finding an editor on Fiverr. There's not. Go to Fiverr.com, click on Writing and Editing Services, click on Editing, choose whoever's got really good ratings, go, will you edit this thing? They'll be like, yeah, that's it. There's nothing to it at all. What you get back from them, that's either going to be completely usable or about 80% there where you're going to want to go in and tweak stuff. So it's so much better. But whatever you do, don't try to make the webinar perfect if you're just transcribing it for a book. And don't look at the damn transcripts. I made that mistake myself, trust me. I almost lost a whole method because I was like, there's no way this is going to come out well. But I trusted the process, sent it to an editor, it came out perfect.
Very nice. Chad's in personal development, and he wants to know, would you recommend a webinar as the sales vehicle for a coaching program versus 3 videos that break the webinar up into 3 parts, making it more digestible?
Well, what I'd really recommend is both, my good man. So, a webinar is very similar in structure to a product launch, it's just delivered all at once, right? So, you teach like the 3 big things in a webinar. What I would do is I would say, dude buys book, invite to webinar. If they don't buy from the webinar, dude goes into automated launch sequence. Launch sequence video number 1 is the big secret you taught, the first big secret from the webinar. Video number 2 is second big secret from the webinar. Video number 3 is third big secret from the webinar. Video number 4 is apply for my coaching or consulting or whatever. Double dipping, same content, right? So think about this, really. All right, this is, by the way, it's called content compounding. This is a method that I teach in some of my stuff. I'll tell you about it tomorrow, actually. So what content compounding means is you take one concept, one bit of your intellectual property, and you expand that into multiple assets. Think about it. Intellectual property for consultants, right? Okay, to really grow a successful company, you need to generate leads of the perfect people. You need to have a sequence and a process that makes those leads know who you are, know how much you charge, ask you to talk to them, and jump through some hoops, and then you got to have a process to actually turn those people into clients without being weird. That was the intellectual property, right? I know how to do that. Then I recorded how to do that, and I turned it into a book. Then I did a better job of recording how to do that, and then I turned it into a webinar. Then I did another job of how to do that, and I turned it into a value video sequence. All same thing, 3 different assets now. Okay, so you can keep reusing the same assets in different parts. You see, so that's why I really can't illustrate strongly enough what we said this morning, which is the shift to the billionaire mentality. If you missed it, you missed out, which is we never want to think products and promos, we want to think assets. How can we create things that will continually pay off forever? And if you make that shift and you start looking at even something so simple as a book, then you'll realize, well, wait a minute, if I build this is something I could use for years. Guess when I wrote this thing? 2012, I think. I might actually have the copyright date in here somewhere. Oh, it doesn't have it anymore. Yeah, I think it was 2012 I wrote the first one, right? And then I made I think a slight adjustment to it when I re-released it last year. It's still selling. This has been my main funnel since May of 2016. Same thing, dude, all day, every day. Built it once. Pays forever, right? That's an asset. Next question. So weird not having y'all here, by the way, listen to that. I never get used to that.
Right. Quincy wants to know, how do you provide excellent content for your webinar and book without taking away the need for your product or service?
Oh, dude, there's always going to be a need for the product or service, right? I mean, you could take, for example, this is actually a classic proof of that right now. So everything that I just told you to do is really it. That's all you need to do. But if I were to say, okay, and now if you really enjoyed this, we're going to have a workshop, and I'm going to walk you through each one of these steps individually, and I'm really going to help you do it. There's a percentage of people who are like, oh, dude, sign me up. That sounds great, right? We always want more. Why is it that we always want more? Because what is a book buyer? They're a book what? A book buyer. What did we learn? A buyer is a buyer is a buyer is a buyer. They're always going to want more stuff. Not all of them, right? But a percentage of them are going to want to keep on continuing the journey. Okay, so make it as good as you can. Help them as best you can. Like, don't worry about like, oh, I'm going to help them too much. I'm not going to want it. The only thing you want to avoid is bogging them down. Bogging them down is getting them tied up in so much minutia that they get bored. And they're like, oh, I can't, I don't want to do it. Right? That's your only disadvantage. You're never going to over-help them in any of this stuff.
Alrighty, Martin wants to know, what do you suggest, or would you suggest inserting humor to emphasize key points with wide contrasts?
Okay, one more time.
Would you suggest inserting humor to emphasize key points?
I guess. Yeah, I mean, why not, you know? But don't do it for the sake of being funny. Like, don't try to be cutesy or whatever. So if you could just be like, here's what to do and here's why to do it, great. If you can make that funny, great, but don't sacrifice the quality of the information with humor, you know?
Bob wants to know, do you add images to your book normally?
Yeah, guess what they are? You're going to love this. You're never going to guess what they are. Hang on. Oh, wait, maybe these... Oh, come on. Where is it? Yeah. Okay. Look. How can I show this? Can I walk up to one of these cameras, Sassy? Can I do that? Oh. Are they going to show? Oh, man, you're not going to get on camera? Guys, you will recognize our cameraman and videographer from so many Calvin Klein underwear commercials. Usually he's the guy just like standing to the side going, what's up? What are you doing later? Okay, so see these? Oh, this one right there? Guess what that image is taken from? Oh, wait, this one is backwards. See this one right here? Guess what that image is taken from? Is anyone going to guess? Can you read the comments? I want to have people guess and see if they're right. Guess where these images are taken from. That's all I needed to do. Any guessers? Guessers. Do we have any guesses, ladies and gentlemen? 100 points to a guesser.
There might be a delay.
Oh, there could be a delay. That's right. Dang it. Okay, well, I'm just going to screw you out of using 100 points. Images are taken from the webinar. Images are taken right from the dang old webinar. Come on. That's it. All right?
Alrighty, Vivian wants to know, she was taught at other webinars that she needs to create a relationship before she can sell. Can she sell the first time she does an ad on Facebook and use that system?
Yes, you should. Yeah, so if we can...
Oh, my God, all the guesses are coming in.
Oh, the what? All the guesses? Oh, sorry, guys. Everyone wins 100 points now. The first, you don't have to show it. The first 4 steps of the webinar, confirmation, difference, bond, and payoff, guess what that's doing? That's building a relationship, right? That is totally building the relationship right there. So, yeah, as long as you do those first 4 parts, you should sell. And you know what you should also do? Is follow up with the people who buy with more value and restate the offer. That's where the real money is. So you got 2 choices on a webinar. You'd be like, I'm going to get them on the webinar, and I know that human nature dictates that we really shouldn't make an impulsive buying decision, but I'm going to fight human nature with everything I have, and I'm going to work super hard to get them to buy right now on this webinar. And then I'm going to sacrifice having a good relationship with them. Or I could just be like, hey, man, human nature is human nature. Ain't no point in fighting it. I'm going to be real cool to these guys. I'm going to do the best job I can making the offer, but I'm surely not going to sacrifice the relationship I built with them. Instead, I'll just follow up with them later and see if I can serve them more and answer any questions they might have had and try to restate the offer. Guess which one works betterest? Door number 2, right? Do door number 2. Again, though, this webinar that I just showed you, like, this works, but I really showed it to you so I could get you to do steps 1 through 4 and just get your dang book done. Because you'll get your book done. So if you don't have the thing to sell, if you're freaked out, just do step 1 through 4, get your book done. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to be like, holy crap, I have a book now. I'm extremely motivated to do the other stuff because I got the big thing done, right? Who did, Tyler?
Brian says, you make this look so easy, Frank. Why aren't more people doing this? Is it fear or overwhelm?
I don't know. I don't believe anyone has ever publicly taught, hey, thousands of people, come and learn how to create a book funnel for absolutely nothing. So maybe no one's really been shown how to do it. I mean, is there a training on how to do it anywhere? I learned it by watching Brendan, and I saw Brendan do it. I called him, I was like, dude, did that work? He's like, yeah, here's how to do it. I was like, I got to go. Should have not have hung up, right? I should have listened to him. He's a pretty smart guy. I'm like, okay, I watched everything. I'm going to do it. And you know what? It worked. I just modeled what he did, and I was like, I'll be damned. And the first one, some of y'all who've been around for a while, I didn't even have a title for the book. I was like, screw it. I want to do this. This is going to be awesome. So I got newsletters that I'd written in 2005 called the Underachiever Method. And they were really good newsletters. And I put an archive of them, a couple hundred pages, and I put them into a book format. It was a spiral-bound book format. And I couldn't even come up with a title, so I put a big question mark on the book, and I presented the book as, this is called the book with the big-ass question mark on the cover. And that was the name of the book, because I didn't want to wait around. I'm like, screw it, I'll just see what happens. And it worked. And I made money doing it, and there wasn't even really a back end. It was just buy the book, one-click upsells, the end, right? And here's what's amazing. So that was in 2011, when I did my first one. And guess what the one-click upsell was for that? Video black box. Guess what my one-click upsell is right now, all these years later? Video black box. This is what I mean. If you stop thinking about products and promotions, what's the newest thing I can do, and start thinking about assets, you can create a thing one time that will continue to pay you forever. I've been selling video black box every single day since 2011. It's really good. Whereas someone with a fragmented attention span that doesn't realize it's not about products and promotions, it's about assets, long-term success, would have gone and created a million other things, right? It's unnecessary. Let's get a system, put the system in place, keep doing what works. Okay. I like to end every question with okay. Because I keep thinking it's Saturday. Today's Friday, isn't it? Yeah, it's Saturday, because it's Saturday. It's Friday from the movie Friday. How you going to get fired on your day off, Craig? Look, man, it's Friday. You ain't got no job.
Is this worth pursuing if you only have a few $100s for ads?
Well, yes, if you take a real rough look in the mirror and go, what in the hell have I done to get myself into the situation where I only have a few $100s for ads? And then the second question is that really true? Do I really only have a few $100s for ads? What if I stop spending money in these categories which don't really serve me, that I enjoy, but they don't really serve me, right? What if I ate at home instead of going out to dinner? What if I didn't smoke cigarettes? What if I didn't buy beer every Saturday? Not to say you are, I don't even know who's asking the question, right? But the bigger thing that I want to address is, how did that happen? And with all of the unbelievable resources and opportunity that are available to every single one of us, what can we do to fix that problem immediately? And a lot of times something's going on here. I don't even know who's answering the question or asking the question, so please don't take it personally. I'm not trying to be a dick. But that's rarely a factor of, well, something didn't work, or blah, 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 or I didn't come from the right family, or I don't have the right degree, or whatever. I didn't either. Okay, so fix that. Whatever it is, let's get that fixed. It usually starts with a rough look in the mirror. That's not fun a lot of times. I've been through it several times, and it's worth the effort to do. Probably not we got to have another one, because that's not a fun one to end on, but I'm not going to give you a bullshit answer. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro, do it. Only $200, you'll be a billionaire. Now it's going to be hard. And especially if you're in that situation, something's going on that's got you there, and we got to fix that as well.
We got a lot of questions. Is any webinar softwares you recommend?
Yeah, sure. EverWebinars, awesome.
Karma wants to know, what about presentations like Russell Brunson's that don't have much actionable stuff, just stories? How do those work out versus education?
I like his stuff. So I don't know. I get a lot of stuff. I learn from his stories. So I watched some of his stuff recently. That's where I got the idea to make this thing from, to draw. I was like, man, Russell got away with just drawing stuff. You see how pretty my slides are. I was like, I don't want to have to make those slides. I wonder if it'll work if I can just draw things. So I think stories can actually be very, very beneficial. And I'll tell you now, his stuff, if you were to do a webinar battle, right? And if I had to pitch the same thing that he had to pitch, he would sell more than me. Okay? He definitely would. Now, I like Russell's stuff. I like him. So I would maybe have better long-term success with that same audience, because I nurture them a little bit more and make it in the follow-up and kind of do that results in advance thing. But I don't know, man. I think old Russell stuff is pretty good.
Alrighty, JP says, you always come up with great names and super simplistic concepts for your programs. Do you just come up with these or do you spend time brainstorming them?
I come up with super simplistic things because from the age of 15 until like 41, I partied like Keith Richards. And as a result of that, I have roughly 14 functional brain cells, and 7 of those 14 are staring at the other 7, wondering if they're going to attack. So I don't really have that much mental capacity. So for me, it's got to be super simple, right? So it's just a function of like, I am physically incapable and mentally incapable of handling great deals of complexity. So for anything to work, I've got to keep it super simple. By the way, if you want the notes to this, I think a couple people asked, it'll be delayed if you want these slides for the webinar stuff. I've already got these ready to go, though if you want the drawings, just text notes to 858-239-1008. You'll get an automatic reply that's like, hey, are you sure it's cool for us to text you this stuff? You got to say yes, and it'll say, hey, what's your name and email address, and we'll send it to you. It's pretty cool. You can have it. I think the big PDF with all this stuff is ready to go. It's a giant file, so it's yours for the taking if you want it. All right, who next, Tyler?
JD said, which is the best platform to start advertising on, Google, YouTube, or Facebook?
I like the Facebooks. Facebooks are working pretty good. So here's the common thing about Facebook. People say, my people aren't going to be on Facebook. Nope. Dude, everybody's on Facebook. I mean, our president's on Twitter, which in and of itself is a little, you're like, okay. Are you talking to my teenage daughters on Twitter right now? I mean, you guys arguing over the Kardashians or something? But nonetheless, everybody's on social media. And what's cool about Facebook is their algorithm. All right? So what is not really talked about very much when it comes to getting traffic from Facebook is Facebook's got this algorithm that gets data from 2 billion people. And that algorithm will look at your ad, look who's responding to your ad, and then be like, we need to crawl through our database of 2 billion people and find more people like that. And if you give that sucker some time, you can really get amazing results on it. Everybody's there. You can be set up really, really quickly. For me, I think it's the best first step. And a lot of times, a lot of people, it's the only step because it works so well.
You threw the term EverWebinar out there. They want to know what that means.
Really? Oh, it's a software. Man, we should be affiliates for it. It's awesome. It's like the brother of Webinar Jam. So if you get Webinar Jam, they have this other thing called EverWebinar, it's automated webinar system. It rules. It's what we use. I can't believe everybody doesn't know about this thing. Andy Jenkins owns it. It's my neighbor, Andy, big muscular guy. It's awesome. Really, really cool software application. ClickFunnels does automated webinars too. I like EverWebinars a little more personally because you can't stop and start the webinar on EverWebinar on mobile, where if you use ClickFunnels, I probably could be using it wrong, but you can just stop the dang webinar at any time if you're on a mobile, and it's weird. That could be operator error. I am the least technically proficient person in the world, but my personal preference for that is EverWebinar. Love me some ClickFunnels, though, for building web pages and stuff, so it's really awesome. Yeah.
This person's afraid to speak on camera. They want to know if just a plain PowerPoint presentation would work in webinar style.
Oh yeah, all of my, well, not all of them. I'd say of my entire life, 2 of my webinars have not been PowerPoint, and only 2 have involved cameras. So I've done a lot. I've been doing this since 1999. So I rarely do a webinar where I'm direct to camera. Yeah, so no, talking on camera is scary, right? It's unnerving right now. It's a little better now because it's been a couple hours, but like, 11 this morning, I'm like, geez, I'm freaking out right now. I can't see y'all. For all I know, they're like they're like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm just talking to this camera. You know, it's unnerving as hell. Totally cool to be on PowerPoint. That's it? Oh, all right. Thus ends our questions. Y'all, thank you so much. We're going to do this again tomorrow. We're going to start at 11 again. And man, you're in trouble tomorrow. I'll tell you what we're going to do. So we're going to begin by my giving you the frameworks for actually selling this stuff, right? So there is a framework for selling a book. There's a framework for a video sales letter that's educational for your one-click upsells. There's a framework for video sales letters that tell stories. I'm going to give you all of those frameworks first thing tomorrow. And then our second session tomorrow, I'm going to show you exactly what the 5 main information product types are that you can use as your main thing and that you can use as one-click upsells and bumps in your book funnel. On Sunday, I'm going to walk you through the 4 big ticket models that can be your main thing where the 10x profit multiplier lives. And I'm also going to be showing you something brand new. I call it the 7 commandments of online direct response. And this is really some rules. If you simply follow them, you will have a life of stress-free abundance and success in internet marketing. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching it. And I think it was a good time. I think it worked out pretty good. I'll see you in the morning at same bat time, same bat channel. Take it easy. I'll see you then.
Para ser avisado de quando sair vídeo novo aqui no canal, se inscreva e ative as notificações. E caso queira uma sessão de consultoria para te ajudar a implementar essa estratégia ou alguma outra, basta entrar no carlosmorais.com e enviar o formulário de aplicação. E não esquece de deixar a tua sugestão de assunto para os próximos vídeos na seção de comentários. Então até a próxima.